Oh, no, that's music right there. House of the Rising Sun, that's a New Orleans song. That's to do with a song in New Orleans, as some outsiders might say. Good morning. Welcome to the broadcast. It's a different day today. This is not your average. Is that you two? Is that who that is, Brian? No.
Not even close.
Well, they do a version of House of the Rising Sun.
They do? You two does?
You hear that voice?
Glenn.
Glenn. I made it back.
That version is Five Finger Death Punch.
Mm-hmm.
They change it up a little bit, but it rocks.
I don't like being dependent on people. I don't like to have people in my life. I like to be independent. I like to be self-sufficient. I like to be able to say, I don't need them. I don't need them. That's not a good thing, by the way, because we all need somebody, and we all need people in our lives. But I really missed Legal Beagle yesterday.
I did too. I missed his input.
Aw.
I am not a substitute for Glenn.
Well, it's no reflection on you.
I don't know.
Or it's no reflection on me. It's just it is no reflection on Brian. It's just he's the glue of he's the heart of the broadcast.
There you go. Well, I don't know about the heart, but
and I remember, I've done talk shows my whole life. And at KFQD, I'd get 100 phone calls some days. But even on those days, I was like, getting toward the end of the show, am I going to make it? I got 20, I got one more segment. I have never had that feeling with this show.
Mm-hmm.
This show is just like butter. Not margarine, not vegetable oil,
not
chemicals.
Butter?
This show's like butter. I mean, it just flows so well. And by the end of the show, it's like, we're done? Oh, okay.
Right.
Yesterday, I had that, how are we going to make it? How are we going to get there? 9 o'clock? I can't go to 9 o'clock. It's only 6:30.
Huh.
Well, we made it. We made it back.
It has
ready to rock and roll.
You say that.
It has nothing to do with you. It's not a reflection. Glenn, tell her it's not her.
It is not a reflection of you.
It's not you. It's me.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm back. We got lots to cover on the show today.
Don't get a big head, okay? Don't go all Hollywood.
I'm so sick of you guys talking about me. If there was a bucket here, I would hurl in it right now. But all right.
Glenn's so meek and
Brian, what's your take on the whole Glen Biegel missing?
I feel just like Glenn.
Hey, there he goes.
You getting sick of hearing about him?
I
didn't think it actually was a reflection of you, by the way.
I get
Brian.
shy hearing about myself, so I know how he feels.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like it when people say nice things about me because they never do.
Well,
and when they do, it's like, wow, that was cool.
Dan is really...
That was really good.
You're lit very well today, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have very good lighting.
Thank you.
I like that blue on you.
Thank you. These are all wonderful compliments.
See, that's why nobody ever compliments you.
Really
You're like, thank you.
Really heartfelt. This is going to all change my life, every one of them. I'm lit well. I got nice blue. 569-1080. It's the Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron show on a Tuesday morning, the 7th day of the month of October.
Yeah.
How's everybody?
Good.
The family's back together.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you ask me if I had a dog yesterday?
Just killing time.
You know, I understand that she's a woman. Bonnie is a woman.
I was thinking about that all night long.
That's my whole point. You say certain things around Bonnie, and 7 days after you said it, why did you ask me if my favorite drink was orange? What? You asked me on Tuesday of last week if my favorite drink was orange. Why did you ask me that?
10:02.
What was that all about? What were you trying to say?
Just put together all the pieces by that point.
I was like, did that have double meaning, or I don't know.
Did it?
Asking what could I possibly be implying by asking if someone has a dog?
Well, I don't know. Oh, and then you told me it wasn't a dog because it's a miniature schnauzer.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not really a real dog.
What was your dog? Alex. I remember his name.
He was a Sheltie.
Well, see, that's about the same thing.
No, he's the smartest dog alive.
Oh, miniature schnauzers.
You know how I got my dog?
Smart.
When I was a news reporter in Beaumont, Texas.
Ooh.
My first news reporting job. There was a woman. I did a story about a Sheltie who was a hearing dog for a woman who was deaf. And what would happen is if someone would ring the doorbell, the dog would go up and get her. If the timer would go off on the oven, if the alarm clock would go off, this dog was so intelligent that he was her ears. And I was so impressed with this dog. I went out and got one. That way, if I ever went deaf, I just,
Just in case.
No, but he was. I never had him on a leash one time, ever.
He just followed you everywhere.
He was so obedient.
Wow.
We would be walking down the street on the sidewalk. I'd say, walk with me. Walk with me. And he'd say, it's not that he would walk near me. It was like military style. He was right next to me. And then when we get to the park, I'd say, okay. And boom, he'd go running. But he'd come back instantly. I mean, he was an amazing dog. Really.
Should have had 9 dogs instead of 9 children. My children never do that.
Yeah, well, your dog obviously belongs at APU.
Woo!
Yeah, he's nuts.
Daisy.
The happiest, fattest dog I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
The most active, fattest dog I've ever met. It'd be like me running a marathon every day and still looking like this.
That's an oxymoron right there.
I have figured out, though, how the dog gets so fat.
Oh.
Because every person who comes into the neighborhood, every delivery person, every person who lives near me, they all feed the dog.
But he never stops moving, Glenn.
I know.
I've never seen him sit on a couch or sit on
It's a she.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's
Daisy.
It never stops moving, this beast.
I know.
You should just hang a sign that says, don't feed me.
I think this dog would have to eat 12 ribeyes a day to maintain that weight and maintain that activity.
I think 12 ribeyes a day would probably kill Daisy pretty quick.
I don't know.
Just a thought.
How old is Daisy?
Oh, she must be 8 now.
Oh. Lab?
It's old for a big dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was very active, like my mom. Very active.
Aw.
Aw.
Dan hates that,
What?
You do. You hate it when people go, oh.
I don't care for those noises. 569-1080. Well, there's lots going on. The unions shockingly have come out for Walker Malott. What?
Gasp.
I know.
What are the chances of that? Since they requested it, and then they said they wouldn't fund it if they didn't get it.
Alex DeMarvin did the story I wrote in there. I said, hey, why don't you give us a little comparison of Alaska state employees to other state employees? Then we'll see if they're all underpaid as much as they say they are.
Mm-hmm.
How about a little perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, public employees to private sector employees.
No, public employees in Alaska compared to public employees elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it costs more to live in Alaska, Dan. Don't you know that?
It actually doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
'Cause
one of the
let me tell
things
you
we
something.
found.
I live in California. State income tax, 13.5%.
Yep.
13.5%. When you register your car, it's like $500. Want to start a business, it's $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Everything, they hit you on every turn.
Get you coming and going.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the way it works when you're in the beautiful state of California and Democrats run everything.
That's right.
It's all for the greater good, though. That's what you see. You missed
That's
that,
right.
Dan. If you understood how important it is for the greater good for Democrats to run in every aspect of your life.
569-1080. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
When you've got the best ingredients, the pizza comes out right. That's just what we're cooking for every appetite. Experience the flavor, call us right away. 24/7, it's a pizza party day.
October is National Pizza Month. Just hearing the word pizza brings a smile to almost everyone's face. And Sicily's Pizza wants to make you smile 5 times as big with their National Pizza Month special. Get as many as 5 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $9.99 each. Whatever style you like. For fast delivery, call 333-8000 and order the Sicily's National Pizza Month special. 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
It's said that character is what you do when no one is watching. If that's the case, then Senator Kathy Giesel has the sort of character that is needed in Juneau. Away from the photo ops or flashy media events, Kathy Giesel hits the books just like she did in nursing school. For the past 4 years, Senator Giesel has worked hard for you, studying the impact of greater access to immunizations for Alaska's kids, crafting legislation that frees up business owners to expand and hire more Alaskans, and working to improve the infrastructure like roads and schools. Not just for this generation, but for generations of Alaskans to come. This election is more than just about promises or bullet points. It's about sending the right person to Juneau with the character to act on behalf of us when we can't watch. We need someone with the character to do the hard work when no one is watching, to make decisions we can trust. We need to re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel.
Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for Senate. 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
Hot talk, KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan.
All right, welcome back. 6:17 in the AM. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Our number 569-1080. 569-1080. There's some local elections out in the valley today, and seats are up for grabs in Houston, Palmer, Wasilla, and on the Matsu Borough Assembly and the school board. You know anything about any of these races?
I don't know much.
I don't either.
That's the difficulty.
I lived out there for 10 years, but when you're not living there anymore,
Should
you
they
don't.
incorporate Big Lake, by the way? They're planning on incorporating it.
Into?
I would guess into a taxable area, but I don't
know what Big
know
Lake
if
would
they're
say
gonna-
about that.
Well, we're going to find out what they're going to say
So
about
what
it.
would it be into the what would it be, the Wasilla?
No. It'd be its own township, I suppose. I don't know. I suppose they would just. It's probably just a taxable area.
New way to bring in revenue.
Yeah.
No.
Got to have some infrastructure.
Would you do me a favor, Glenn? You have that's a computer right there. You have right there.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Go to the frontiersman.com.
I'm there.
It says here the races, the story about the races. Let's see. We're with local elections. You see where it says local elections?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have you clicked on that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What comes up when you click on that?
A tweet.
What?
A tweet.
A tweet?
You don't have a story there? It says
From
the
Twitter?
election for municipal offices is in the Matsu Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next line says seats are up for grabs in Houston, Palmer, Wasilla.
And then it's all blanked out.
Yeah, nothing.
Well,
So that's just not my computer.
the information has been redacted to prevent,
Electioneering or something on election day?
Yeah.
Well, no, but
Information.
the bottom line is you can't. There's nothing there.
Well, there's a tweet there.
What do you see a tweet?
Seats are up for grabs. Isn't that what that top thing is? It looks like a tweet. Little.
No, that's
Does it
the
say-
story.
Oh, that's the story
That's the
headliner.
beginning of the story.
Doesn't that look like a
Make
tweet
your own
to you?
decision,
No.
people.
Are you
Figure
there,
it out.
Brian?
Yeah, you know what they do is they make you answer the survey question,
Oh.
In order to
and then
see
you can
it.
see the rest
Oh,
of the
I
story.
see.
Yeah, it's like when you have to click through the ad to see the story.
Oh, okay. Oh, there it comes up. All right, now I see. Okay, here we go. So 2 seats are up in the borough. Steve Cooligan is running opposed.
Oh,
Oh, you like Steve?
I've done some work for him.
Yeah. Bill Kendig and Dan Mayfield are squaring off to vie for the seat that Darcy Salmon vacated. So why are they having an election day today?
They objected to moving things to the spring like Anchorage did because our elections were being overshadowed by state and federal and whatever elections, and so we moved ours to the spring.
Because it makes for better turnout.
Well, they didn't think there would be better turnout. Turns out it's horrible turnout. It's almost impossible to get anybody who's not paid by the city to go vote for another $5,000 raise. But they objected to that and didn't like it, so they left theirs in October, which means they run 2 elections, and you just sort of have to hope that you get at least some airtime.
Well, I would imagine that the turnout would be dismal today. As opposed to being on November 4th, it would be huge.
Yeah, I think they had like 8-10 10, 12%, maybe 14 for a high. Then they had a runoff, and I think they had 6%.
So why would they hold it
Turn off
on a
vote.
day that they know they're going to get considerably fewer voters?
Hope springs eternal, Dan. I don't know why you don't get that.
Is that sarcasm?
No.
So they were afraid that their local elections were not getting the word out. The word wasn't getting out about them.
I don't think they're worried about anything. I think they're just going to hold these elections, and whoever turns out to vote. And the difficulty is that you have, there's a good 6 or 8% of the population that's paid by the state, local, federal, borough government. And if you want to raise, you need to hire your bosses, and so you have to go vote, and everybody else is like, yawn. Why am I going to go vote?
Well, it makes sense. Nobody would hear about Steve Culligan, though, if, they're consumed with Mark Begich and Sean Parnell and all them.
Well, this is distressing. I guess the thing I'm concerned about is the school district out there. We have such a superstar superintendent in Dina Paramo. I hope we don't get a bunch of libs on the school board out there, but the 2 school board members that are up for re-election are not opposed.
What are their names?
Ole Larson and Tiffany Scott.
Hmm.
So I don't know anything about them. The mayor's race of Wasilla has Bert Cottle, currently the city's deputy administrator, facing off Lauren Means, a member of the city's planning commission. The city councilman Colleen Sullivan Leonard, who's Mayor Sullivan's sister, is poised to skate through unopposed, but 3 other people are running for the open seat council: Stu Graham, Tim Burney, and Allison Sacco. So that's what's going on in Wasilla.
Well, I went to Conservative Patriots Group to see whether or not they had any endorsements, but
And
I haven't seen any.
well, that's a shame. Nobody knows who to vote for.
Huh?
We need to spend more time covering politics out there.
They're a huge population,
Yeah,
and they drive in.
and we're out there on
Mhm.
2 different stations, 1020 AM and 92.5 FM. 92.5 FM. Yeah, look at that. I got it right. I could get this morning. I don't know if it's dark, but I for some reason I just went through the dials, and I could get 1020 AM loud and clear on my radio this morning. The one that's
Here in
supposed to be out in
Anchorage.
the valley. Yeah.
Wow.
That used to be the KOAN signal.
The what?
The 1020.
Used to be the what signal?
The KOAN signal in Anchorage.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh.
and 1080 was Kudo, the sports station, so it was sort of an Anchorage AM.
But it's supposed to be a valley station.
It's just because AMs are so much stronger.
Oh.
Yeah, you pick it up as good anywhere.
Oh, okay. 95.1 though is just for me in Anchorage. It's blasted out of my radio.
Yeah, I get it pretty good. I live in South Anchorage.
Yeah.
Valley elections can get really contentious, too, because everybody knows everybody out there. And, if you're friends with someone, you feel like you have to vote for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it can get really contentious and ugly.
What I was surprised to find out a couple of years ago, I was going out there and moderating. By the way, I'm moderating the debate between Bill Walker and Sean Parnell on. Let me get the date here. On the 31st, Halloween.
Fun.
Yeah, Friday. It's during the day. They're going to have it out in the valley, and I'll be the moderator.
Is there
Just
an issue
before the
or a
election.
topic?
It's the governor's race.
I know, but is there a specific?
No, it's a debate.
Oh, it's going to
Oh,
be
okay.
wide-ranging.
Yeah.
It should be very,
Amanda Coyne and I are going to do it together.
very entertaining and informative.
Yeah.
Right before the election.
I know. It's the Friday before the Tuesday election.
Is it the last debate before the election?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Probably pretty close.
Do you have some good questions?
No.
Not yet?
No.
You're not going to share them?
I don't know.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, off the cuff, as it comes to me. But as I was doing some work with Crystal Nygaard out there, the Matsu Business Alliance, a couple of years ago, I moderated a couple of their lunches. And I had no idea that there's a strong contingent of leftists out there. You always think the Valley's a bunch of conservatives. That's not true. I mean, I think they're in the majority, but
Are they leftists to you because they are for aces, or
no
those
development,
leftists?
no Kinnick Bridge.
Oh, there are friends of Matsu who are totally in
Yes.
control of,
Yes.
totally in control of the borough assembly out there.
And doesn't that sound so good? Friends of
I
Matt
know.
Sue.
And
that's so
the way
sweet.
Crystal Nygaard described them as they're all the nonprofits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They all get government grants.
Yep.
That's where their money comes from, and they suck the life out of the private sector.
Yeah. Yeah. They fought the pellet business out there. They fought every logging operation.
Yep.
They fought the coal mine out there.
Yep.
They fight roads.
The
they
rail
fight
extension.
development, rail extension, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are amazing, and they were in control. The reason is, by the way, because nobody shows up to vote.
That's right.
You get
Because of this stuff.
If you
Having it on
if
this
you have
day.
10% of people vote,
Yeah.
you think those 10% are going to represent the broad spectrum of everybody who actually has interest?
But that's why it's such a big deal to me that they hold the elections today, knowing that they're probably going to get a third of the people voting if they would hold them on November 4th.
Oh yeah.
That's a tactic of the left. Because like you say, Glenn, when your personal paycheck is involved, you're a government employee, you're going to go vote come hell or high water because it's your money.
I really struggle with this a bit because oftentimes I'll try to put myself in the position of my opponent. And I know personally I would never join a union because I do not believe that my skills and my efforts should be judged according to what anybody else does. They need to be judged on my own merits. I just believe that. I'm firm on that. And I don't want to be paid. I don't want someone else to be paid more than me because they've been there longer than me, even if they do less than me. That is offensive, and it's dehumanizing, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't pay someone if they do half as much work, but they've been there 5 years longer than you. You shouldn't pay them twice as much money. That's just the way I live. That's me. So I always put myself in the position of my opponents, and I think, what if I could hire my boss? What if I could go out, work politically, hire the person who was going to give me a $5,000 raise? What would it take? Would it take $5,000 a year in order for me to change my view of the way that government should work? $10,000 a year? Would it take $15,000 a year? At some point, you just start to think, man, it would be really, really hard for people to resist that temptation to become a different person, because you know most of these union people in their everyday lives, in their conversations with people, the way that they live, the way that they raise their family, they're not leftists. They don't believe that the government provides good things for people, but $5,000 a year in raises and then another $4,000 next year and another $4,000 the year after that, plus all of the benefits that you get. Ooh, man, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars over a very short period of time, as we saw with baggage. I mean, it would be hard, and I don't know how many people can resist that. My sense is, in the end, what you do is you say, look, this is the system that we have. It's what we were given. It's okay for me to influence this election. If other people don't show up to vote, that's their problem. If I vote myself a $5,000 pay raise, frankly, I deserve that. And if you don't vote against me, that's your problem, and that's just the way things are.
And that's fine until they start bullying you that you don't like cops because you're voting yes.
Gosh.
That's where I draw the line.
Great point, yeah. And that's really what they're saying. We will have a less safe city
That's right.
because we will not participate to make you safe. Mm-hmm. That's bad.
629, Fagan, Biegel, and Bond.
Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
With KOAN News, I'm Ann Kenda. Anchorage police have warned the Walmart in Midtown that it's getting very close to the maximum number of allowed nuisance calls before it starts facing fines. Commercial properties are limited to 100 nuisance calls per year, and the Walmart has already had more than 80, the majority of which were about intoxicated individuals. The store began selling alcohol in 2011 and is now considered a magnet for chronic inebriates. The Alaska National Guard is working on repairing a reputation that says it allows a culture of sexual assault. A class is underway to teach members how to become advocates for victims. A public service announcement starring state basketball star Tyler Ide has aired at his alma mater of Nome Belts Junior-Senior High School, urging young people not to let alcohol ruin their dreams. Students were asked to snap selfies of themselves making good choices for My Choice, My Future campaign. That's your Hot Talk News Update.
Mostly sunny skies and chilly for today, high 41. For tonight, cloudy and cold, low 17. Chilly with sunshine and clouds tomorrow, high 36. Wednesday night, low 22. Thursday, clouds and sun, high 40. And Friday, rain, high 45. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Parking space 105A. To many, it's just 130 square feet of publicly allotted tarmac. Unless you own a 2014 Mercedes-Benz CLA. With its muscular, seductive look and distinctive diamond block grille, that parking space is transformed into a stage that showcases to others what groundbreaking style can be. And as we pull away, thanks to the turbocharged inline-4 engine, parking space 105A transforms again, this time into a launching pad. See the world differently. See it in a CLA from Mercedes-Benz, whose vehicles retain their value better than any other premium brand, according to ALG. Get the 2014 CLA 254 Matic starting at just $31,900.
MSRP for 2014 CLA 254 Matic excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. Some equipment described as optional. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing. You live in Alaska, so it's cold, and it's going to get colder. That's why you need an award-winning heating company to keep you and your family warm all winter. You need Moore Heating. Moore Heating is Anchorage's premier Lennox dealer. They can provide you with the best pricing on all Lennox equipment and installation, including the Lennox 97% efficient GWM boiler, the best, most efficient product of its kind on the market. And Lennox high-efficiency boilers offer one of the best warranties on the market with 10 years warranty on parts. And this month, right now, Moore Heating is offering a 10-year warranty on labor as well. So whether you need a new filter for your furnace, a new wood stove for your home or cabin, or information on an entirely new energy-efficient heating system, you need Moore Heating. Stop by and ask about this month's special, 1801 Dowling Road, or call 561-1500. In the Valley, 376-1500. Remember the name, Moore Heating, because it's going to get colder.
I'm Bill Walker, lifelong Alaskan independent candidate for governor. Party politics and weak leadership are hurting Alaska. My gosh, we spent more money studying gas lines, bridges, and roads than it would have cost to build them in the first place. There's been at least a dozen gas line studies, and not one piece of pipe has been ordered. You know, I've been a builder and a leader all my life. I know what it takes to get a project done. As governor, I will dismiss Study Hall, and together, we'll build a strong, robust Alaska. Come on, Alaska, let's go to work.
Paid for by Bill Walker for governor.
Here's my good friend, Keith Montonoff.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at Fagan Biegel.
All right, welcome back. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. We're on the radio on KOAN, KVNT. We're also streaming on danfagan.us. Check that out. I wrote on the Alex DeMarvin had a story out today. Law enforcement public safety unions endorsed Walker Malott ticket. And it's just a big love fest between the unions and Vince Beltrami ticket, basically. And I write on there, I said, Alex, addressing the reporter, why not give us a comparison of what these union members make in Alaska compared to the rest of the nation? If you would provide that one small piece of information, this story would be complete. It would also show how ridiculously high Alaska State Union members are paid compared to their counterparts in other states. But we wouldn't want to report that, or we wouldn't report anything that might reflect positively on Mr. Parnell. That was kind of snippy. I was obviously grouchy this morning. Derek Heisch, who's the head of the police union here in Anchorage, wrote me, Dan, I saw the ADN about comparison wages. This may surprise you, but police wages have actually fallen considerably against our lower 48 competition. Since 9/11, the demand for security, police, military sector employees to integrated concerns about national security background qualifications have supposedly increased. As a result, Alaska's two largest law enforcement agencies are not able to recruit and retain at the current wage levels. Regardless if we support them, then secures the, I can't even say this word, SECURITIZAN.
Securitization.
Yeah, securitization of every aspect of our lives. There is a demand for it. Also, APD's 911 calls are growing at a rate of 1,000 per month. And then he puts in parentheses, maybe due to the cell phones, combined with our campaigns encouraging the public to report. So, I invited Derek to come on the show this week. Hopefully he will.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I know that two of the things he said specifically are false.
Well, which ones?
Isn't that strange that we're dealing here with a policeman, and what he said was false?
Well, which one?
Recruit and retain.
So,
right, recruitment is measured by, well, how many people is it that want to work in the police
How many
force?
people applied?
Thousands of people apply. Thousands of people apply to be a policeman. It is ridiculous to say we cannot recruit people to be policemen. It's ridiculous, and it's a lie. It's not true. Retain. I would like for you to show me any statistic that says people in the police department are quitting because they're not getting paid enough. I'd like for you to show me that. That's a lie.
Well, let's address the applicant pool first. And I did a story on this, and this is back in the days with Channel 2, and I remember interviewing Mark Mew, then deputy police chief. And it's tough to become a cop. The criteria, the psychological evaluation you have to go through, very strict, very rigid, very harsh, as it should be.
Sure.
Because when you're a police officer, you are endowed with some great authority.
Yes.
And if you are not balanced,
you can misuse it.
You can misuse it, and it happens. It will always happen, because any profession, it doesn't matter how, you really can never really know a person. So that's a little deceptive to say that you want, because if the question is how difficult is it to hire police, just because 2,000 people apply doesn't mean that 2,000 people are qualified psychologically.
No, but it does mean that what he said, that we cannot recruit people to be police, is false. That's just false. Look, I've gone through.
Right.
Look, I've gone through this with them many times. Here's how. This is one of the ways that they prevent the police force from growing. Is they prevent people. The police, by the way, people in the union are responsible for going through and revealing whatever it is that their qualifications are for removing people from the pool. And they have done it in the past so that they could keep their overtime up. That's the way that they did it. They prevented us from getting under the Wirch administration, which I was heavily involved in. Under the Wirch administration, they would not give him full academies. They gave him 13 people in the academy, and overtime. No, they being the 2 or 3 policemen who are responsible for filtering out the pools for police. It's just false. Look. They make up these stories because they want them to be true. It is not true that out of the thousands of people who apply to be a policeman that we do not have qualified applicants. That is not true.
By the way,
many of these people are people in our military. Many of these people have fantastic degrees. I know some people who applied to be Anchorage policemen and troopers, and they were highly qualified. But look, they just didn't need them.
By the way, Mr. Heiss, Derek Heiss, well, I don't know if I've met him or not. I may have. You know how much he makes salary and benefits?
No.
$145,067.20.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Nice. So about 2.5 times the average for the city of Anchorage, basically, is what Dan's saying. He makes 2.5 times. You got 2.5 citizens of Anchorage on average. And that's how much that person makes. 2.5 times what an average person makes.
We had a friend who went through the whole entire process and got all the way up until the psychologist, and because I guess he put his hands on the table, the psychologist said that was it. He was done. And that was the reason he gave him, because it was
an aggressive.
Yes, it was looked
I
at
have
as
my
aggression.
hands on the table, Dan. I'm being very aggressive to you right now. Did you know that? You should kick me off the show.
I mean, I did hear that this psychologist, I'm not sure he's there anymore, but he was very, very strict in his.
They know that they only want a certain amount, that the amount is going to be controlled by people in the union, and this is one of the ways that they keep people off the force. It's just that simple. But it's just false, though, to say that we cannot recruit or retain people. It's just false.
When I was a news reporter, we used to have consultants, not at Channel 2, but other stations, and they always said when you're on camera, never put your hands together because you're closing off the viewer. Always have your hands separated.
I think I'm going to sit here the whole show.
I've noticed I do that when you're talking.
Ryan Rancom, senior patrol officer, patrols a day shift, $164,662. Darrell Evans, senior patrol officer, $164,867. Jeffrey Bell, special assignments unit, $163,811. Now that's salary and benefits. It just goes on. I mean, Jason Wetzel, senior patrol officer, 162.
Now, by the way,
Jared McKay, school resources unit. I don't know what that is. 161.
This is totally different than it's ever been. We never ever paid policemen this much.
Traffic
before.
unit.
Never.
Patrick Martin. Just traffic. 160,000.
Well, government jobs are very sought after now.
Well, here's the thing. When you were a policeman, you got several things that were of a benefit to you. First of all, you were the primo. You were the top of society. People trusted you. We gave you great power. We gave you great authority. And that's one of the things people sought after when they became a policeman.
Now, let me say this.
But they gave you retirement after 20 years. You got to go through and have a full retirement benefit after 20 years, and you were highly respected. We didn't have to pay you $160,000 a year. We didn't have to pay that. It's ridiculous.
Let me say this as a reporter who has done many a crime beats in many a city. I have found that there is a distinct difference in the Anchorage Police Department than any other police department I've ever dealt with.
How so?
Much more professional.
Yeah.
So you do get quality people when you pay $160,000 a year.
Yeah.
And, in New Orleans, cops start out at 18. I mean, I'm not kidding.
Wow, 18,000.
Yeah. So you're talking about a much more professional group. Here's a Donald Tallman. He's a dispatcher for the fire department. He makes $141,000. That's a dispatcher.
Now, I know a whole bunch of people who do apply for the police force are not qualified. There was a somewhat famous story out of the Anchorage School District. It's probably like 15, 18 years ago. And they had 111 applicants out of the Anchorage School District, and 91 of them could not read at the 12th grade level.
Joseph Hall, fire apparatus engineer, makes $203,000. Jeffrey Briggs, senior fire captain, $204,000, salary and benefits.
Well, I have heard stories about the retaining thing, and I actually know somebody who was a police officer here, and he's now moved to Colorado. So, and very conservative guy, just said it's not worth it. The job was too hard for the pay. So, I mean, I know that there are stories like that out there, but that's not why I'm voting yes.
What's a system supervisor analysis, Glenn? Diana Hellig for AFT.
Analyst, system supervisor analyst?
Yeah.
I would say that's probably a computer person.
She makes $165,000.
Sweet.
644.
Don't just sit there. Give them a call. 569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
Well, howdy, I'm Nick Worthington, Ford Giant, Worthington Ford. And folks, we're having a huge sale. Right now, you can get friends and neighbors pricing automatically on any and all new 2014s in stock. That's the official pricing set by Ford. And you can use your PFP today. Here's a Chevy Cobalt, just $59.50. Here's a Chevy Suburban, just $10.9. And here's a Ford Explorer, just $11.9. Here's a Ford Expedition, just $12.9. This is your chance to automatically qualify for Ford's Friends and Neighbors pricing, so don't miss it. And folks, we need your trade-in, so push, pull, or jog it in and you'll get top dollar. It's Giant Worthington Ford on Gamble.
ID number 818736 and 06 Chevy Cobalt, number 215898 and 04 Chevy Suburban, number A62358 and 08 Ford Expedition, number B74202 and 07 Ford Explorer.
Friends and Neighbors pricing excludes Raptor MKC and Fleet Deals on approved credit, subject to prior sales. See dealer for details.
Ends October 9th.
In Washington, Mark Begich has voted with Barack Obama 97% of the time, adding trillions to the national debt, casting the deciding vote for Obamacare, and protecting Obama's executive amnesty for illegal immigrants. Alaska needs a senator who will fight back against Obama's agenda. As our Attorney General, Dan Sullivan sued to stop Obamacare and defended our Second Amendment rights. As Alaska's DNR Commissioner, Sullivan stood down Obama's EPA, unleashed new energy production, and created Alaskan jobs. Now Sullivan is running for the U.S. Senate to stop the Washington big spenders from bankrupting America. Sullivan will cut wasteful spending and support a balanced budget amendment. And Dan Sullivan is pro-life. He'll protect life while fighting to repeal Obamacare. Dan Sullivan, strong leadership for Alaska.
I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sullivan for U.S. Senate.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning.
Fagan, Bonnie, and Beagle. That makes sense. Fagan, Beagle, and Bonnie. Early.
I thought you said Bomney.
6:47 in the morning. We're looking at some of these city employees' salaries in light of the story today that Bill Walker and Byron Malott and Vince Beltrami ticket will save the poor public employee union member here. There's a bunch of fire inspectors at AFD. So what do? They just go to buildings and make sure that buildings maintain code? Is that what that would be?
Oh, probably.
And don't they go to the scene of the fire and
not while it's going?
No, but to determine where it started.
In other words, there's no risk involved in their job, right? Because that's what they keep telling us. Is everybody at the police department? They all have risky jobs.
Well, we don't know. The inspector might, if there's a big fire, they might have to jump in. Who knows?
They got to know a lot of codes.
Yeah. Here's the fire inspector. Here's the fire inspector. Salaries with benefits: 151, 135, 133, 131, 121, 121, 120. Even the fire office associate, one of the few salary and benefits that are not six figures, $90,257. I don't think anyone who's ever had associate on their title has made $90,257.
No, that's 50% more. That's 50% more than an average person in Anchorage.
That's the associate, Glenn.
An office associate, that sounds like I'm answering the phones and pushing papers.
Now, when you get to the battalion chief, obviously, 200,000, 190,000, 189,000, 187,000, just goes off the chart there. Can you imagine working for the government making 200,000?
Well, there are a lot of people who can, and they are arguing for more. In fact, they're going beyond that, and they're telling us not only are we're well paid and we need to be well paid, but you will not be safe unless you pass or you reject AO 37. You have to vote no in their mind. That is a pretty strong statement. First of all, I don't know how it can possibly be true. Here's one of the things which people don't realize. If we keep paying our police and fire so much money, we will not have as many of them. I had always thought that there's a certain number that we need in order to be safe as a community. Now, maybe they're making the case that, well, if we have, 100 really well-paid people, it's better than having 140 well-paid people.
Well, they say they're so short-staffed, but I guarantee you if you go open carrying downtown Anchorage, you'll have about 10 or 12 on you at about 2 minutes.
Now, of course, where you really get big salaries is the ML&P. You get 130,000, 164,000. That's what Jim Posey makes. A shop steward, Dusty Menifree, local IBEW, he makes 150,000. A shop steward. What does a shop steward do?
I believe the shop steward is part of the union infrastructure that negotiates with the, or sort of if there's a problem between management and labor, they are the people who you take your complaint to.
Brad Sherman, system analyst. What was the system analyst making the private sector, Glenn, with salary and benefits?
Oh, I don't know. I would guess probably about 80.
143,806.
Almost double.
Yeah. It goes on and on. Light and power superintendent, 167,000. Electrical communications tech, 140,000. Systems analysis, 148,000. It just goes on and on and on. Utility division manager 2, 164,000.
You think we could get this for Chugach Electric, because that's another one where salaries and benefits have just skyrocketed.
Junior accountant. Once again, you got the name junior in your title. You shouldn't be making $104,121, right? If you're a junior, right?
60% more.
569-1080. Tom Wright, the campaign manager for Governor Parnell, and Sullivan Ticket is on the phone. How are you, Tom?
Good morning, Dan. How are you and Glenn and Bonnie all doing?
We're doing great. We appreciate you calling in.
Well, I just thought that, I heard, was listening to your comments this morning, and I just wanted to point something out. We were disappointed but not surprised at the announcement by all the public safety employee unions. But, the governor has been strong on law enforcement. And, we've had more troopers, VPSOs, we added BPSOs, but, still trying to deal with fiscal constraint at the same time. And I was looking at the story that you were talking about this morning, in the dispatch.
Yep.
And I really found what really interesting is, again, another Bill Walker, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do with the budget. He said he plans to grow the economy on one hand and bring people together and listen to their concerns to create a fiscal plan. But he said that could take now at least a year. But he supports having a plan rather than simply hoping that oil prices rise again, everything's going to be okay. And he doesn't know exactly what he's going to be cutting.
Yeah.
But here we go again. Mr. Walker keeps talking about, or has previously been talking about a 15% across the board cut. I don't think he really knows what he wants to do with his fiscal plan, and that he really doesn't have a fiscal plan.
Any chance that any person would be able to implement a 15% across the board cut here in Alaska?
Glenn, I don't know how that's possible. I mean, you have your
Has it ever happened in the history of the country that anybody's ever done a 15% across the board cut, including the troopers and education?
Not that I'm aware of. The closest I've ever seen is Arizona, who I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago when the economy really turned down. They cut, I want to say, almost $2 billion out of their budget. But I mean, it was strapped down to a bare bones budget, and they had everything on the table. I don't think it was quite 15%. I want to say it was more like maybe 5 or 6%, but it was pretty significant.
Well, that would be at least a little more believable. What is Parnell's plan for the budget? What is his target? Where is he trying to move us to? And what will it look like for the people of Alaska?
Well, I can't specifically talk about his budget plan because that comes more from the official side, but he does want a sustainable budget, and he's taken action in the past, like not filling vacant positions or not funding vacant positions, which is even more significant, and took care of the biggest problem, and that was our pension fund. Yes, it took money out of savings, but it's going to save us money down the road. The payments next year, for example, would have been upwards of $700 million, if I remember correctly, and now by infusing that money back into the pension fund, which out-earned the permanent fund, by the way, last year. The payments next year will be $350 million or somewhere around that vicinity. I mean, there's some big drivers in the budget, and the Parnell administration has been looking carefully and trying to make sure that we have a sustainable budget, but not overspend the budget. He's been fair in contracts. He's been trying to find ways to reduce cost. There's a couple of measures that have been taken. For example, the Department of Administration is now looking at combining office spaces or making office spaces more workable, which should save over the next 20 years $125 million. It's little things like that the Parnell administration is looking at. But I can talk about, on the other hand, Mr. Walker, who has been touting what he wants to do when he becomes governor, and the first thing was a 16% across the board cuts, which now he's kind of backtracking from. But here again, he told the Alaska schools that he would support increasing the BSA by $425. He wants to accept Obama's Medicare, the base student allocation for foundation formula for school funding.
Okay.
Obama's Medicare expansion. Well, that's going to cost us money down the road. He wants to use state savings to pay for energy projects around the state. He wants to create an entire new state department to drill for gas, competing with the private sector. Wants to drill in Anwar. Well, who doesn't want to drill in Anwar?
Yeah.
But he says it'll grow state government by drilling for oil in Anwar. Wants to increase DOT's budget to build pioneer roads to mining districts and increase Alaska Railroad funding to provide access to areas with mineral potential. I mean, that's great. We all love resource development, but again, you can't have it both ways. I mean, I could go down the list and go on, but
it gets a little confusing talking here with Tom Wright. He is with the Parnell and Sullivan team. What do we do here? What are we to make of these low oil prices? And they're not really low. $95 historically is massively, unbelievably high, and they could trend down. I saw $75 a barrel. I mean, at some point, we really do have to look at pretty dramatic changes to state budgets.
Well, again, to have a sustainable budget, I think it's an interesting fact. You mentioned, Glenn, $95 a barrel. It was $89.99 yesterday. And I think it's interesting to note that under ACES, we would have lost $140 million a month at current oil prices. So SB 21, the new oil tax reform, is working because of lower oil prices. We would realize that the prices stay the same, another $140 million a month. At $95, it was $100 million a month.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, Tom, and I was arguing with somebody online about it today, and that I think the Democrat, somebody Sterling, endorsed the Walker-Malott ticket. There's a lot of Democrats, by the way, endorsing this. Begich put his arm around Walker-Malott. I don't know how many conservatives I know, but they've never voted for anything that Begich was for, but here they are going to support Begich's team. But anyway, they still are not aware that we're getting more in taxes now because the price has gone down, and that's one of the things the state wanted was a little more assurance at lower prices.
And that's what we're getting right now. As I said, under ACES, we'd lose $140 million a month now at this time at lower oil prices.
Well, up against the break, but quick question. 70% of the budget is already formula spending. You can't touch, correct?
Dan, I don't know if that figure's accurate or not, but it's
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, right.
Walker wants to cut 16% of the 30% remaining?
Well, that's where he'd have to go in my mind.
Why isn't the media calling him on that? There's no way he can do that.
I don't know either. I mean, all you have to do is look back at the record and look at all the statements, and it's quite astounding. Public safety, for example. I mean, he'd have troopers, equipment, so on and so forth. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tom. Tom Wright, Parnell Campaign.
Well, howdy, I'm Nick Worthington, Ford Giant, Worthington Ford.
Back to the commercial. Best split firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928 and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool! Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928. Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in KOAN Anchorage. It's not just talk, it's hot talk. 95.1 FM, 1080 AM.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The U.S. attacking ISIS from the sky again. You can hear an airstrike from a distance, and then cheers from Turkish residents. But a Kurdish battle against the militants in a Syrian border town isn't going well. Turkey's president says Kobani is about to fall.
CENTCOM confirming U.S. coalition aircraft hit 5 different ISIS targets around Kobani today. The most in one day of the campaign. But with the black ISIS terror flag flying over the east side of the city, street-to-street battle continues between ISIS and the brave Kurdish defenders of the town. Near the Turkey-Syria border, Greg Palkot, Fox News Radio.
The VA says it's firing its first 4 staffers since Congress made that easier following the vets treatment delay scandal. But a Republican says don't believe that. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland just talked to him and is now live in Washington.
Dave, House Veterans Affairs Committee Chairman Jeff Miller says the VA is allowing executives to retire with full benefits rather than firing them.
That is not what Congress is saying.
Congressman Miller says he's committed to working with Secretary Robert McDonald to make sure executives are held accountable.
Punishment is the only thing that is going to change the culture of corruption within the department.
One executive, John Goldman, recently retired from a VA facility in Georgia. Shortly after, Miller says the VA tried to claim he was let go. Dave.
Rachel, there's more help wanted across America. U.S. businesses posted the most job openings in August.
Blaze.com/radio with original shows.
More people in America than any other company. Many who work there part-time are going to lose their health benefits. Walmart will eliminate insurance coverage next year for anyone who averages less than 30 hours a week. Target, Home Depot, and others had already done that. On Wall Street, the Dow's down 114 points, but the International Monetary Fund predicted slower economic growth worldwide. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Everyone knows solar is the way to go, and many state solar incentives are almost gone. Next, the federal incentive money will soon go away, too. In fact, the big federal solar incentives are slated to disappear in 2016. If you wait, it could cost you as much as 30% more to make the switch. Can you afford that? The new energy reality is here. Go solar now and get your tax breaks before they're taken away. Big monthly energy savings can still be yours, but you must act quickly. Over 12,000 people call us every month. Could they all be wrong? Escape the coming big energy price increases with 1-800-MY-SOLAR. You can afford it because we finance, and we're a local company. Local is accountable. Paying too much on your energy bills? Take as much as $7,000 in tax rebates and incentives before it's too late. Call 1-800-MY-SOLAR for a free in-home assessment. Call 1-800-MY-SOLAR today.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
Well, howdy, I'm Nick Worthington, Ford Giant, Worthington Ford. And folks, we're having a huge sale. Right now, you can get friends and neighbors pricing automatically on any and all new 2014s in stock. That's the official pricing set by Ford.
And you can use your PFD today. Here's a Chevy Cobalt, just $59.50. Here's a Chevy Suburban, just $10.9. Here's a Ford Explorer, just $11.9. Here's a Ford Expedition, just $12.9. This is your chance to automatically qualify for Ford's Friends and Neighbors pricing, so don't miss it. And folks, we need your trade-in, so push, pull, or drag it in and you'll get top dollar. It's Giant Worthington Ford on Gamble.
ID number 818736 and 06 Chevy Cobalt. Number 215898 and 04 Chevy Suburban. Number A62358 and 08 Ford Expedition. Number B74202 and 07 Ford Explorer.
Friends and Neighbors pricing excludes Raptor MKC and Fleet Deal on approved credit, subject to prior sales. See dealer for details.
Ends October 9th.
Hi, my name is Mike Ferris, president of Alaska Enterprise Solutions. We are the face of Xerox in Alaska. Xerox is a trendsetter, and AES Xerox is following in those footsteps. We are the document management experts, specializing in short-term rentals of copiers and scanners. We have offices in Anchorage and Fairbanks, and we are your Xerox professional agency with an Alaska focus and worldwide support. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
When Malarkey Mark Begich ran for U.S. Senator, he made a lot of claims about his record as Anchorage mayor. Begich knew the truth wouldn't come to light before the election. But now, history is caught up with Malarkey Mark. Under Begich, Anchorage taxes went up 27%. Under Begich, the city budget ballooned, a $142 million increase in spending. Under Begich, the city was saddled with unprecedented 5-year union contracts. Under Begich, a deficit of over $20 million was left for the next mayor to deal with. Begich left Anchorage in serious trouble. Alaska's Energy America's Values paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. EngineandDimes.com.
Here's my good friend, Keith Montronock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
Hot talk, KOAN, man.
.706, Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie. Talking about the public employee union salaries versus private sector employee salaries. Big story today in the Alaska Dispatch. Bill Walker and Vince Beltrami ticket unions have come out and endorsed them.
People may be confused, by the way, because I will admit that I'm on two sides of a coin here. And here you finally have somebody, Walker, who comes out and says, I'm cutting the budget. I'm cutting the budget, and I don't care what the consequences are. I'm going to cut 15% out of the budget. It's across the board. Everybody's going to suffer. This is the way we're going to do things. I should be cheering. Here's the problem. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. I don't believe it for 5 seconds. I don't believe it at all. It doesn't make any sense. The NEA does not support candidates who don't support more money in education, period. They don't support candidates who do not support the expansion of their education monopoly. I don't believe it. I don't believe Vince Beltrami wants to cut the budget.
You know Cheryl Douglas?
No.
You know Cheryl Douglas?
No.
She works for the city of Anchorage in library use services. She makes $119,000.
Public servant.
Jane Baird, professional librarian. $108,000.
And this is at the LUSAC where we voted no to their remodeling, and now they're getting it anyway.
Colleen McDonald.
Nice.
Library Adult Services, professional librarian 2, $111,000.
See,
Stenson Mamursur, branch libraries, $108,000.
Where this should offend people is these are average people.
Karen Keller.
They don't deserve to make more than the average citizen.
$131,000.
And the average citizen makes about $60,000 a year.
131. Librarian. $131,000.
Got to stop.
$131,000. She's a librarian.
The only way that this
they
happens,
have to have
by
a
the way,
degree.
the only way that this could happen, by the way, the only way, is if you hired your bosses, and for year after year after year, it's not like you can't find a librarian, somebody with a librarian degree, to hire for less than $130,000. Period. That's the reality of the situation. The average person in Anchorage is making less than half that amount of money. We don't have to pay people that much to be public servants. We just don't. And they have to answer to the marketplace unless they hire their bosses. I'm telling you, that's got to be such a powerful force for you to be able to say, well, gee, I'm a conservative, but I'm going to hire my boss. He's going to give me a $5,000 raise, and doggone it, I'm worth it. Boy, that'd be so, so powerful.
Voting themselves money from the public treasury. That's what
A
it
librarian, it costs the city $131,000 to employ a librarian. A librarian. What does a librarian do other than shh?
They have to code the books.
Yeah, they got to code the books. They got to know library science. Everything's science, by the way, now. Library science.
Actually,
the Dewey Decimal System.
Pick a high school. Pick a high school. Somebody say a high school.
East.
All right, let's go to East. See what they're making over at East. High school staff. Here we go. All right. Let me get to all right, here we go. Marcia Bannon, teacher classroom, 9 to 12, $116,000. That's a teacher.
Paying benefits. You know,
Allison Brandt, teacher classroom, 9 to 12, $112,000. Thomas Brogunga, building tech, 9 to 12. What would that be?
Somebody who takes care of, maintains, like the walls.
Well, somehow he only survives on $114,000 in salary and benefits.
How can he do that?
I don't see how he can feed his family.
Twice the average, 90% more than the average citizen.
Margaret David is a music teacher at East High School, and by some miracle is able to put food on her table with a salary and benefits of only $112,203.
Well, I know that the average employee for the school district is now $105,000 paying benefits. And here's the thing: is we never used to pay this much money. Never. It's only been since Carol Como got in that this happened in Mark Begich.
Janice Dolan only makes $94,000 in salary, $26,000 in benefits, coming to $121,000. How does she live?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody go over to Janice's house and give her some cash. She's got to be hurting. All right, a principal. This is the principal of East High. Michael Graham. What do you think the principal makes in salary and benefits?
I'm going to guess $175,000.
$161,000. He's way underpaid. $161,000 for the Big Cheese. That's just one school.
Public servants, man. Look, the reality is we don't have to pay people this much. They get a good retirement package. In fact, they get more than, I would say, 90% of people even now get, because they get, I think it's 11%, 10.5% over their pay in that goes into a retirement fund for them. I mean, a lot of people, they're funding their own retirement, and then the company will match a little bit. There's no private company that gives you 11% above your pay to go into your retirement account. There just isn't. It doesn't exist. So they're still getting very good benefits in addition to the pay that they get. I know the starting teacher is going to cross $50,000. A 22-year-old person will make $50,000 just in pay, not including that 11%. So the starting teacher very soon will cross the average person in Anchorage, the average pay in Anchorage.
Just getting out of college.
And that's just pay, not benefits, because
right.
the benefits are still far superior. Yeah. Just getting out of college. If you're the average person in Anchorage, it would be a 45-year-old person who's been working in your career for 10 years. Talking about the average person in Anchorage, a starting teacher will make more money than you in paying benefits already.
What is an administrative assistant?
Somebody who does the computer work and all the stuff that the person above them tells them to.
Should they be paid $72,000?
What was the
administrative assistant?
No.
Sandy Hollis, who coordinates student nutrition, she makes $76,000.
Okay.
And that's probably a part-time job.
Truck driver, student nutrition. Jeremiah Johnson, should he make $99,000?
Oof.
Craft specialist plumbing. Jared Lamb, $103,000. I guess you got to have a plumber.
You got to have a plumber.
For some reason, these truck driver, student nutrition people make real good money. $108,000 for Kyle Mahoney.
Well, you need to find what the truck drivers would make in the private sector.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're all union too, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the numbers don't lie. The union people can bellyache and scream all they want. You look at the private sector, you look at the... Here's some of the... as you know, Bonnie, you say anything that, hey, we need to curtail public sector employee union, they go nuts. And it just, here we go. Lee Mayhem, in response to my comment earlier, Dan Fagan, when you work to put your life on the line, then I'll listen to you to serve and protect. Just how dare you?
Yep, that's exactly what you hear.
Bring up the issue.
Not that everybody going out and working is
we have a lot of people in the military. None of
them
are paid $140,000 to $150,000 a year.
Peter Blanis says, well, Dan, if you're so terribly bothered by the high unionization rate in Alaska, you're free to leave and relocate to a work for less state.
Must be good to get yours, and everybody else has to fund it.
714.
Love it.
We're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
You gotta play to win. Don't miss your chance. Alaska Lottery presents Monthly Lotto with a new drawing every month. tickets are just $2 each or 10 for $10. The winner receives half of everything collected. Drawings will be held on the 30th of every month. Call the Alaska Lottery hotline at 56-LOTTO. That's 565-6886 for information and prize updates. Charitable gaming in Alaska raises millions of dollars every year for nonprofit organizations statewide. Get your tickets today at the new Tudor Bingo Center at 1436 East Tudor Road, Tudor Charity Tabs at 343 West Benson, or the Alaska Lottery kiosk on the first floor of the 5th Avenue Mall. You don't have to be present to win, but you gotta play to win. Brought to you by Greater Anchorage Inc., Ferrande, and Alaska Lottery.
It's said that character is what you do when no one is watching. If that's the case, then Senator Kathy Giesel has the sort of character that is needed in Juneau. Away from the photo ops or flashy media events, Kathy Giesel hits the books just like she did in nursing school. For the past 4 years, Senator Giesel has worked hard for you, studying the impact of greater access to immunizations for Alaska's kids, crafting legislation that frees up business owners to expand and hire more Alaskans, and working to improve the infrastructure like roads and schools, not just for this generation, but for generations of Alaskans to come. This election is more than just about promises or bullet points. It's about sending the right person to Juneau with the character to act on behalf of us when we can't watch. We need someone with the character to do the hard work when no one is watching, to make decisions we can trust. We need to re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel.
Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for Senate. 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on
Parnell 240719 Anchorage paid for this announcement.
Fagan.
$7:17 in the a.m. My name's Dan Fagan. There's Glen Biegel over there. I think I said Fagan. It was Dan Fagan.
Fagan.
Glen Biegel's right over
Dan
there.
Fagan.
Bonnie Cameron over there.
We missed Talk Like a Pirate Day, and maybe Talk Like an Irishman.
That's all right.
It's
I don't like those things. They bug me.
Really?
They do. For some
Anybody
reason,
with an
I'm
accent.
really annoyed by it.
Oh, when people try to talk
They
with
do
a
the
fake
Talk
accent.
Like a Pirate Day, or they do anything like that. What?
You and I are clones. Let me tell you something. There's nothing I would rather do than participate in something as ridiculous as Talk Like a Pirate Day.
It
And I'll
drives
tell you
me
nothing.
crazy.
Are you like me? Are you like me?
Not usually.
No, I think you are. There's not enough money in the world for me to go and dress up in a costume at a Halloween party.
I have done that.
Oh, okay. Well, so you're not like me. 569-1080. Todd, you're on.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
As a forced public union employee, because I don't live in a right-to-work state, you probably will find my salary on there, and I have to say that, the salary alone doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, just because you see someone making a lot of money as a teacher, it doesn't just mean that they have, a regular schedule. Some of them are teaching summer school. Some of them have additional duties that they're doing. So that's not to
So these are not necessarily people who are only working 9 months a year to get that
right.
salary. Some
Right.
are
In fact,
actually working an extra month and a half or so.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
look,
I mean,
I'm trying to be honest here because working 9 months, people are thinking of these salaries as 12-month salaries. Now, teachers don't get much time off during the year, and that does need to be noted. I think there's like
I'm assuming you're employing sarcasm again.
no.
Yeah, no, actually, we
Teachers
get a
don't-
lot. We get a lot of time off.
Kidding me? You get
I thought you had
Thanksgiving, 2
in-service
weeks of
days. You still have
Christmas.
to show up.
Well, no, but still,
Oh,
we
Christmas
get,
is
we got
still off,
2
huh?
weeks
You get
off,
2 weeks
2 weeks off
Christmas,
at Christmas,
a week of
off at
Thanksgiving.
spring break.
If it's Groundhog Day, they take a day off. If it's, are you kidding
not
me?
Yet.
You
Not
don't
yet.
get Groundhog Day off? All right. So I'm wrong on that. I guess what
I
I'm thinking
dated
is
a teacher
personal
once.
days. It's like two and a half
dated
days off a year.
I
personal.
dated a teacher once. She was never at work.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, but I mean, it's 188 contract days, and
Well, I'll say this, Todd, and I look, I know I'm perceived as anti-teacher. There's not a single job out there in which one can do more good and transform the society and culture than at the job of a teacher. And that is especially true, and I don't want to sound sexist, for men, because there are so many young men out there in our culture today who have no fathers, they have no uncles, they have no men in their neighborhood that they look up to as role models. And when you take a guy like you, who's a male teacher, who gets in there and displays and models what a man's supposed to be, and that's the first man these young men have ever seen act like a man, it revolutionizes their life. So, I tell you, I have so much admiration for teachers, especially men teachers, not because they're better than women teachers, but they're so desperately needed.
Well, I try hard to earn my salary because I know that I'm getting paid very well. I guess what I'm saying is that it's not always comparable. My youngest child goes to a private school, and his teacher makes about 2/3 of what I make, and he's been teaching for about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
But he has 12 kids in his classroom.
Yeah.
And those 12 kids all have parents who go out of their way to get, those people to class and to school, and they check their grades. And as opposed to a teacher who has 160 kids come through their door every day, and depending on what you're teaching, 1/3 of them not even being, prepared at all to try to learn that day. And so I guess I would just caution you. I mean, I am number one on the list for having a right to work state, because I don't want my salary I don't want to be paid based on what other people's performance is. I agree with Glenn, but
well, Todd, here's my thought on it. It should be like any other profession. If there's a guy like you, who obviously is reaching the kids, you have a heart for the kids, you're teaching them good values, and along with what needs to be taught academically. A guy like you're going to make such a difference in so many students' lives, and I'm talking about real differences. There might be some kids who are heading down one path, and as a result of you and other teachers like you, will head down a completely different path that will save this society millions of dollars. Because if you take a student who you get them interested in learning, you get them curious, you give them hope, as Dina Paramo tries to do out in the Matsu, and that child all of a sudden goes from being a government-dependent welfare recipient to a productive member of society. During the course of that one child's life, we're talking about a difference in cost to our society in the millions. So if that's the case, if you pencil it out, teachers should make $250,000. But now hear me out. The good ones, those who are proficient, those who reach kids, those who can display and demonstrate the ability to change kids' lives and put them on a different path. And those who are going through the motion should make $30,000. And if you want to make more money as a teacher, then you learn and you get to the position where you're actually reaching kids. And all of a sudden, there's incentive involved to improve as a teacher. The problem with the system as it exists now, there's no incentive.
Right. And so I guess what I'm saying is I'm not sure who you want to change that. Do you want the individual classroom teacher to change the system? I mean, we're just one voter. I mean, do you want
you guys are pawns to it. Hey,
let me answer this question. Okay. Here's how I would do it. Look, accountability always comes top down. Let's start with the superintendent. Superintendent must be accountable.
Which is school board.
No, get rid of school boards. Superintendent.
Oh, we
no
got to get rid of
boards.
school board. So that's
superintendent, because unions control school boards. Superintendent's hired by the mayor.
No, hired by the school board. Oh, you want to change it? So
I don't care how the superintendent's hired, but the superintendent, it buck stops with him or her. If the district's performance doesn't go up and down or doesn't go up, then you get rid of the superintendent. Then the superintendent goes to the principals. You, as a principal, are responsible for your school. If your school doesn't achieve and excel, you're gone. If it does, you're going to get paid more. Then you allow the principals to determine the pay and the salary of the teachers. How you do with your students, that will determine how much I, as a principal, pay you. You put in a hierarchy. Everyone's accountable to somebody. That's how it works in the private sector. If the teachers were able to determine if the principals were able to determine teacher pay, and there was a mechanism in place to determine accountability and determine proficiency and excellence, don't you think teachers would have more incentive to do a better job knowing that their principal would reward them?
Well, it depends. Is the principal rewarded based on passing grades? Because then he would pay teachers who give their students passing grades more money.
No, this is a separate argument, Todd.
Well, but
hold on, hear me out. No, I do hear you out. I know that teaching can't be the only profession in which you can grade and determine proficiency, because that's what I hear. Well, you got parents, you got neighborhoods, you got kids who are disabled. I know there's always variables in the teaching profession, but there are variables in every profession. I have Bonnie Cameron as a talk show host. That is an advantage for me over some other talk show host because she's good. So does that mean you don't judge me? No, of course. You determine how good I am as a talk show host, and you take into account that, well, he does have Bonnie helping him out every day, but there's always a way to determine proficiency. You have to figure it out. It can get complicated. It won't be perfect, but you can't tell me that the teaching profession is the only profession in the world in which you cannot determine proficiency.
No, I agree you can determine proficiency. I guess I got to go, but...
No, I was totally getting what you were saying, Todd, because the whole conversation makes me very uncomfortable because I know what people will say back. They say, teachers have to pay for their own supplies. They have to put up with, deficient kids because of their parents.
Hey, Todd, can I ask you a question? And
yeah.
This is just going to be very brief. Do you know what the percentage increase has been in your salary from 2000 till today?
Oh, since 2000?
Yeah.
Probably about 70 to 80%.
Okay.
70%, 80%.
Since 2000? Yeah.
Increase?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a 70 to 80% raise in salary since 2000?
Yeah, well, I mean, step and lane, I would guess it's between 50 and 70 probably.
Well, and to me, the whole problem is the public employee union. You say you would get out of it if you had the choice, but there's not very many people who would do that. We just need to get rid of the public employee unions.
Yeah, so I think you're probably right, 70 to 80%. I think that's basically the numbers that I'm looking at.
I guess what I'm saying is that it's not the average public employee union member who necessarily is in control of this. So when you read their salaries, I mean, what you should be doing is reading the people's names who didn't show up to vote.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
We're gonna take the salary that we're offered. I mean,
right.
You want us to? I mean, I already give a large percentage of my salary to charity because I believe that that's important as a Christian and as a human being. But what do you want me to do? You want me to give it back?
Right. Well, you're having to. You're having to pay taxes and your charity.
You're doing what's right, Todd. You're doing what's right in your classroom. You're doing what's right as a citizen. And we'll see. The society will make a decision as to whether or not having a monopoly run by the teachers union is better for us. At some point, we'll make that decision.
It really is run by union leadership.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the people who are just working and trying to earn money to live and to be a public servant because that's what they feel called to do. So anyway, have a good morning, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, a guy like Todd, he should make big money. He should make six figures.
Well, and I'm sure there's lots of people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the few bad apples that ruin the whole batch.
I'm not worried about any of that. Literally, I don't care what teachers are paid. It doesn't make any difference to me. What is wrong with the system is that they have a monopoly, and the parents do not have any power. And that if you want to change something as a parent, like everyday math, you have to go to the school board. And the school board's run by the NEA, and if the NEA doesn't agree with you, then you're not going to have any effect on them whatsoever, because what the hell do they care about you? You're just one person, and what really are you going to do?
The union is the monopoly.
729, Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie.
And now, the Fox News Business Report, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks are trading lower following European shares after disappointing economic news out of Germany. The International Monetary Fund also cut its outlook for global economic growth this year and next year, mostly due to weaker expansion in Japan, Latin America, and Europe. New York State Comptroller says the securities industry in New York City made a profit of $8.7 billion during the first half of this year. That's down 13% from the same period last year, due to a hangover from the 2008 financial crisis. But unlike profits, Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli says bonuses are likely to rise again this year. And for coffee lovers, they could be in for another jolt at the cash register. Prices for coffee beans are sharply higher, with futures nearly doubling this year due to production concerns in Brazil. Consumers were hit with price hikes over the summer from Starbucks and Smucker. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jolene Kent.
You will not have enough money to retire. It's true. If you're like most Americans, you'll have to work in your 80s to live comfortably. I'm Jesse with Future Advisor. Our chartered financial analysts and math PhDs created software that will look at your portfolio, tell you what the future holds, and show you how to fix it for free. If we can't shave a year off your retirement, we'll send you $100. Take charge of your future, free in just 2 minutes. Call now, 1-800-618-4000. That's 1-800-618-4000.
With KOAN News, I'm Ann Kenda. Anchorage police have warned the Walmart in Midtown that it's getting very close to the maximum number of allowed nuisance calls before it starts facing fines. Commercial properties are limited to 100 nuisance calls per year, and the Walmart has already had more than 80, the majority of which were about intoxicated individuals. The store began selling alcohol in 2011 and is now considered a magnet for chronic inebriates. The Alaska National Guard is working on repairing a reputation that says it allows a culture of sexual assault. A class is underway to teach members how to become advocates for victims. A public service announcement starring state basketball star Tyler Ide has aired at his alma mater of Nome Belts Junior-Senior High School, urging young people not to let alcohol ruin their dreams. Students were asked to snap selfies of themselves making good choices for My Choice, My Future campaign. That's your Hot Talk News Update.
Mostly sunny skies and chilly for today, high 41. For tonight, cloudy and cold, low 17. Chilly with sunshine and clouds tomorrow, high 36. Wednesday night, low 22. Thursday, clouds and sun, high 40. And Friday, rain, high 45. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
The highway, a strip of asphalt to carry you between points A and B. But in an all-new 2015 Mercedes-Benz GLA, there is no point B. Because when you're driving a GLA from Mercedes-Benz, you're not concerned with the destination, only the adventure. With off-road transmission mode and a sleek design, this SUV performs with confident style on any terrain. And no matter where your adventure takes you, the all-new GLA's sporty, expressive styling fits in, yet stands out, complementing the many sides of you. See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer today and see the world differently in a GLA 250 4MATIC, starting at $33,300.
MSRP for a 2015 GLA 250 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Why is A&A The Shop Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A The Shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A The Shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the McCall 569-1080 KOAN.
7:34. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Talked to my friend Keith Montanak yesterday. He's doing well. Business is good. He's been in business a long time. That's why it's good, because people trust him. People know that you take your vehicle to Keith Montanak, he's going to treat you right. He's got a great location if you live anywhere in South Anchorage or up on the hillside, even Midtown. He's right there across the street from the Long Branch Saloon, Bonnie's hangout, off
Every
of
day.
Abbott. She's over there swilling beer most days.
I love me a good saloon.
couple of pictures a day normally. Keith Montanok, Specialty Truck and Auto. He's got 6 ASC certified mechanics. ASC means they know what they're doing. And he's a trustworthy guy. That's really what you want. You want 2 things in a mechanic, somebody who's trustworthy and good at what they do, and that's Keith. Give him a call, 349-1637. Do me a favor. Tell him that Dan Fagan sent you, and he'll treat you right. He will treat you right, I promise you. He'll hook a brother up, as we used to say back south. 349-1637. 349-1637. Go in there and say, hey, Keith, hook a brother up. I know Dan Fagan. He treats you right no matter what. Tell him you said that I sent you. 736, our number 569-1080. So Begich is buying some votes, you say?
That's what it looks like. It's good timing for him.
Isn't that our system, though? You're talking about the HUD secretary coming here and going to give native corporations $5, $6, $7 million, whatever it was.
I mean, you can't tell me that wasn't
of course
meant to be for Begich.
Of course. But isn't that the system today?
Yeah.
Don't we get press releases from Lisa Murkowski, and we used to get them from Ted Stevens, and we used to get them from Mike Murkowski, and we used to get them from Don Young. Poor, Senator, Congressman gets $14 million for a new tree or whatever, Isn't that the system now? Mm-hmm. Isn't that how it works?
We've already established what you are. Now we're just talking about price.
Yeah, we elect people. They go get us cash from the big federal trough, and then we're all happy. Isn't that how the system works?
Yeah, and I love how they say the government is giving these people. Hello, we are the government.
Yep.
The people are giving other people.
Our children.
And then like Todd saying, well, he gives to charity. Well, he's having to give to charity twice.
Todd, our former college teacher. Let me ask Glen Biegel a question, because you're a pretty intelligent guy.
Allegedly.
This is really at the core of the problem, Glenn, and Bonnie articulated it in the last segment. Many of us in our country, many of our fellow countrymen and women have figured out how to vote themselves money from the Treasury, have figured out how to vote themselves other people's money. If you look at Vince Beltrami, what does Vince Beltrami do for a living? He gets up every morning and he tries to figure out new ways to get people who work in the private sector to give more money to union members in the government sector. That's what he does for a living. He's very good at it. Many, we just read some salaries in earlier. People are making 6 figures, 100,000, 200,000, 160,000. Because Vince Beltrami is able to get money to use politicians. He buys politicians legally. Those politicians pass laws and implement contracts that take money from the private sector and put it into the hands of the union members. And it is proficient, it is widespread, it is in epidemic proportions.
This is the longest question in history.
I'm not done. I'm about 10% done. I've got 90% left to go.
I'm going to tune back in at about 8:15.
So at its core, that's the problem. How do we stop the Vince Beltramis of the world? How do we stop the Mark Begiches of the world? How do we stop the Lisa Murkowskis and the Ted Stevens of the world for political gain doling out other people's money?
Well, individually, I would suggest that people approach life, first of all, that you should make your own money. It's very important that you are your own person, that you should create your own wealth, and that our country is only strong in as much as people accept that burden. That you may have to eat, a bologna sandwich while you're getting your feet on the ground, while you're getting your skills put together. But in the end, you'll eat steak, and not only will you eat steak, but you'll eat steak that you bought with your money.
Yeah, but
that's really good.
That's not the issue here. Most Americans are the way you describe. We want to make our own way. We don't want, at the end of the day, to have a nice house and a nice car and be able to go on a nice vacation and put our kids through college and leave money for the next generation, knowing that we got it by taking other people's money. Most of us want to earn our own money. So that's we're there as a country, majority-wise.
Agreed.
But there are still a significant portion of Americans who have figured out taking other people's money is a quicker way to wealth. How do we stop them?
I'm getting to that. The first part was a critical part, and I agree with you. Most Americans do see that they're proud of what they've built for themselves. You have to take that pride and that understanding that this is the essence of America, and you have to apply it to union members too. They can't hire their bosses to get a raise. They just can't. If you could do that in your own business, in your own company, you know what would happen to your company? It would go under, just like happened to GM, just like happened to Chrysler. When you can hire your bosses and tell them what they will pay you, then your company can't possibly survive. That's the way America is. Why? Because it goes up and it comes down. We just had a teacher on, gets paid 70 to 80% more than they were paid in the year 2000. How much of a raise have you had? I'm honestly asking you this question. I've gotten a 20% raise. I went years and years and years with no raise. I have never gotten a raise as they have gotten year after year.
70% raise since 2000.
Since 2000.
And then that they can hold the public hostage by saying they're going to strike if they don't get what they want.
Yeah. So I think the first part is critical. We have to understand that we make our own way. We're Americans. We're powerful. We're only as powerful as we accepted the responsibility to create our own wealth and not take from other people. Once you have that in your heart, once you understand that that's the essence of America, then you start judging other people based on that. Nothing's going to stop Vince Beltrami from wanting to take power, from buying politicians and wanting to take power from the private sector.
With other people's money.
Nothing is going to. Why? Because he's good. He thinks he's doing right. That he's got to stop these evil corporations or whatever else he's determined is evil. Yeah, and so there's nothing that's going to stop him. Nothing stopped any of the communist movements in the past, and that's what the workers' movement is.
I'm supposed to use the word communist.
No, but I just clarified that the workers' movement was a communist movement.
It was a movement that said the worker was superior to the entrepreneur.
Yes, and so and basically this is where Vince is. Now, he's got a lot of other things that hinge upon this. He's a very wealthy man in and of himself, and he carries a lot of power, and he likes to display that power. He built the Walker Malott ticket. You don't think he gets up every single day and goes, I created a ticket that is challenging Sean Parnell. And you know what's funny? They buy the idea that this guy is going to cut the budget. That is so fun to me. I love this state. I love this country. I love my job. I love to get up every day. I know Vince Beltrami does say that. Because how fun would it be to have the NEA-backed candidate, the AFL-CIO-backed candidate who created this ticket get up and lie to people and tell them they're going to cut the budget?
I agree with you, and of course you and I are both speculating. I don't think that Vince Beltrami thinks of it in that way. I think what he thinks is that...
You don't think he gets the joke?
Have you ever been around union members, by the way?
Yeah.
You notice how they all call themselves brother?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a family. Hey, brother. How you doing, brother? I believe that the union model creates an us versus them mentality.
Yes.
That's why Sarah Palin falls into this. Bill Walker falls into this. It's us versus them. And if we don't stand up for our brothers in
tribalism.
the union, and we don't get ours, then we're going to lose out. And I honestly believe in his heart, Vince Beltrami believes that he gets up every day fighting for his brothers. Now, if he were to stop and think the fact that his brothers make 35-40% more than his non-brothers in the private sector, I think it might be a little sobering for him. But I don't think he thinks in that terms, Glenn. I honestly believe he thinks that the more money he can get to his union brothers, the better he is at doing his job. And he sees that as a noble cause. I don't think he sees this as a nefarious thing. Like,
I said
pulling
that.
one over.
I said that.
But you said
he's fighting. It's good versus evil for him.
But you said he's pulling one over on the last.
He's justified in doing whatever he does. When you're fighting good versus evil and you've identified somebody else as being evil, then you're justified in doing whatever it is, however odd it might seem. Like the IBEW might get paid $160,000 a year in pay and benefits here in the state of Alaska. If you work for Chugach Electric, if you work for ML&P, if you work for the city of Anchorage, you might get paid $160,000 pay and benefits. Now, that might seem odd to most people. It doesn't seem odd to Vince Beltrami because he's fighting evil and he's in the midst of this great spiritual battle where he's got to beat the other side.
569-1080. Time is 7:44.
On Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
When you've got the best ingredients, the pizza comes out right. That's just what we're cooking for every appetite. Experience the flavor, call us right away. 24/7, it's a pizza party day.
October is National Pizza Month. Just hearing the word pizza brings a smile to almost everyone's face. And Sicily's Pizza wants to make you smile 5 times as big with their National Pizza Month special. Get as many as 5 medium 2-topping pizzas for only $9.99 each. Whatever style you like. For fast delivery, call 333-8000 and order the Sicily's National Pizza Month special. 333-8000 or order online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's.
Just call Sicily's Pizza. 333-8000.
In Washington, Mark Begich has voted with Barack Obama 97% of the time, adding trillions to the national debt, casting the deciding vote for Obamacare, and protecting Obama's executive amnesty for illegal immigrants. Alaska needs a senator who will fight back against Obama's agenda. As our Attorney General, Dan Sullivan sued to stop Obamacare and defended our Second Amendment rights. As Alaska's DNR Commissioner, Sullivan stood down Obama's EPA, unleashed new energy production, and created Alaskan jobs. Now Sullivan is running for the U.S. Senate to stop the Washington big spenders from bankrupting America. Sullivan will cut wasteful spending and support a balanced budget amendment. And Dan Sullivan is pro-life. He'll protect life while fighting to repeal Obamacare. Dan Sullivan, strong leadership for Alaska.
I'm Dan Sullivan. I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Sullivan for U.S. Senate.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from...
$7:47.
That was cute.
Thank you. Fagan, Beagle, and Bonnie on a...
I'm going to be sick.
7th of October, 2014.
I don't even dance, Dan.
Aw. All women dance. You were on the cheer squad. You were a cheerleader.
I
weren't
look
you?
like Elaine from Seinfeld when I dance.
Oh, no.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
All you.
Whether you dance or not, you probably would like to have a roof over your head. And if your roof is in need of repair or you need a new roof, our good friend Frank and Becky Earhart are the folks to go see. Their son James also. It's a family business, but it's not a little mom and pop thing. It was at one point. 42 years ago, they started just with the family. Now they've got 17 trucks, 60 employees. They're the real deal. They're the best in the state. Better Business Bureau Business of the Year. Doesn't get any better than Earhart Roofing. They can install a roof in 2 days, and they're going to guarantee that roof. This is just amazing to me. You know, there are just some facts that shut down an argument. Once you, like when Glenn talked about the government employee getting a 70% raise since 2000. Okay, that's all I need to hear. The system's out of whack. Well, this is all you need to hear about Earhart Roofing. 50-year warranty. 50 years they guarantee their work. Have you ever heard of such a thing? That's how you know they're good at what they do. They back up everything they do. Frank and Becky Earhart, their son James, Earhart Roofing. Here's the number, 345-5555. 345-5555. That's Earhart Roofing. 7:49 is the time. I still don't have an answer to my question.
Restate your question.
For the record, I think Glenn and I would have been good attorneys battling each other.
Oh.
Wouldn't that have been fun?
That would have.
Objection.
Denied.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, despite what Mr. Beagle alleges, blah, 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 blah.
And I'll be the
Let
judge.
me summarize Dan's argument by the following. Blah, 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 blah.
All right. We have a problem, Glenn. Houston, we have a problem. We have a significant amount of people who have figured out how to vote themselves money from the Treasury. You say we need to focus on earning our own way. I agree. I believe that's already happening. I believe the majority of Americans do not get up every day and say, how can I get somebody to take someone else's money and just give it to me, even though I haven't earned it. I think the majority of Americans are still like that. I don't know how much of the majority, you know, and when I talk about voting money for themselves in the Treasury, I'm talking about the welfare mom, I'm talking about the CEO, I'm talking about the green energy people, I'm talking about the labor unions. I mean, there's a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a small pocket of people anymore, and every day it grows.
And then they buy the elections, too.
Then they buy the, it's all legal.
And the politicians.
But it's all legal. So how do we stop that? How do we get people to realize that's no way to live life when you're at the end of your life? And yes, this is another long question, but at the end of your life, are you really going to want to say, what did I do with my life? Well, I got Mark Begich to get a bunch of money from other people and give it to me.
No, Mark Begich gives us fairness.
So how do we change this?
That's the benefit Mark Begich gives. Most people don't realize that life's not fair. This is one of the key realizations, that as you go through, you get your first job, you get your first car and it doesn't work very well. You go through school and you don't do all that well on a paper here or there, or other people have it easier and they don't have to study as hard as you do. That you just go through life and you just realize things aren't fair.
Well, can I add a caveat to that?
Uh-huh.
Like with me, I feel really bad for people who have to go through life who aren't as good looking as me. Like, I'm a very attractive man, and that gives me a lot of advantage over other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get advantages and bonuses in life that less good looking men
don't give you tickets. Traffic
people
tickets.
don't give me tickets, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a perfect example. It's not fair for some people that they aren't as good looking as me.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
That's right.
It's Dan's mantra.
The problem is that most people don't realize there is no fair.
There is no fair.
There just is no fair. And frankly, the least fair thing is for a very temporary benefit of somebody not going through a struggle to deny them the benefit of being married because you've given them a welfare check and you'll take it away
if they marry.
If they marry. That is the least fair thing. The things that Mark Begich wants the most tend and end up being the least fair things that you can imagine. And so how do we transfer this country, which has now 50 million people who are getting food stamps, to a country that doesn't? Well, you don't take away food, so it's values. Values are why America is so different than every other country on the planet.
50 million food stamps.
I heard 3% or 30%.
30% of the country.
That would be
I heard
more
it
than
went
50
up to. I heard it went up to 50 million. That's the number that I heard.
Well, there's what is that, 400 million?
Whatever it is. Anyway, it's tens of millions.
I mean, I think that's low. I think that's a low estimate. Is what I'm saying.
It may be, but here's the point, and I'm telling people not to go out and get food stamps, because that's the only way you're feeding yourself.
I know they've doubled under Obama. That I know.
Right, but here's my point. If you were to say, because I don't spend, I think people were getting $800 a month for their family of 4. I don't spend that much on my family. It's not fair when you get more food and you haven't worked for it and I've worked for it and I get less. That's not fair. Look, I don't care. I want you to eat. But what I don't want is I don't want you to eat off the public dime for year after year after year. I don't want you to eat better than me. I don't want you to eat better than somebody who's working for a living, even if they make minimum wage. Yes, you should be able to eat, but not well. So, I mean, there's just this idea of fairness. I guess that my point here is not to talk about any specific thing about fairness, just to realize, A, there's no fair. B, when you operate under the idea that Mark Begich, in buying votes, is going to end up giving you more fairness than life will give from this fantastic, wonderful country that we have, you are barking up the wrong tree. That's the essence. That's the essential question people need to answer.
Isn't the dark, and I agree with you. You know, the leftist is the 4-year-old who's still pissed off that his 5-year-old sister got more ice cream on her cone than he did, and he never got over that. That's a leftist. They don't get there's no fair. But is it the dark side of being upset that there's no fair? Envy? Isn't it envy that drives
Or hatred. Look, I look at Vince Beltrami, and I don't just see envy. I see something darker there. When he goes after our private sector and tries to strip powers away from management and tries to give his buddies $160,000 in paying benefits, there's something else driving that. So, I mean, I think envy can, I think, lead to anger, which can lead to hatred.
But it starts with envy.
In the end, there must be envy is a key part of a lot of what drives
That's where it begins.
American politics.
That's where it begins. I think it is.
I think the lack of experience in real life and realizing that there's no fair. I think that's where the error starts.
I'll tell you what I think is no fair.
Oh.
Okay, so we have this AO 37.
Yes.
They take the union dues from people who are hardworking.
Because most people don't know what that is. AO 37 is the Prop 1 that's currently on the ballot.
The very last thing on the ballot, by the way.
And this is the bill that Dan Sullivan passed that actually brings in fair negotiating practices when you're dealing with labor unions. It takes away Mark Begich's old powers to be able to let the unions sit on both sides of the negotiating table.
And raise their pay and salary and benefits.
Right. They can still raise their pay, CPI plus 1%.
Yeah.
So it's all the signs you see around Anchorage that say vote no on one. You don't see any vote yes, because they take the union dues from the people. They give them to the union bosses who decide who the politician is going to be, who gets their endorsement. And so, to me, then you see all the advertisements on the buses, the bumper stickers, the ads on TV, the ads on radio, the signs.
Just know this.
And there's nobody who represents the taxpayer.
Well, that group is starting up,
fair.
and Chris Birch will be speaking on it. Hopefully you've got
They
some
have a
information
very
he wants to come on.
limited amount of money.
That's true.
The vote no on one people have spent over $600,000, and $300,000 of it is local.
Wow.
So then you've got what Chris Birch is they're hoping for $75,000.
Yeah.
So that's what we're up against less than a month before the vote.
This is going to
That's
be
not
a
fair.
very hard, and this is a great expenditure. It's a great investment by union folks. Here's the one question you have to ask: should you ever give somebody a 5-year guaranteed raise?
No, nobody gets that.
Right? I mean, that is just a basic, fundamental, easy-to-answer question. Is there ever a case in history when you should guarantee someone 5 years consecutive raises? Is there ever a time?
And let me just say this. I've had two prominent, well-known conservatives, one a state senator, telling me that they're leaning toward voting for Bill Walker. And I would say this to every conservative listening to me: you don't like the way Parnell did this, or you don't like the way Parnell did that, and you're thinking about voting for Walker. Bill Walker is a complete and total slave to the union bosses. And if you think for a second he will employ an ounce of conservatism or fiscal restraint as governor, I have 2 words for you. Please.
I agree. I love that. There's so many conservatives who, this is Begich's endorsed ticket. This is the NEA endorsed ticket. This is Vince Beltrami's endorsed ticket, and they want to vote for Walker because they think he's more conservative than Sean Parnell. They got another thing coming.
Buying a politician.
758.
Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best split firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928, and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool. Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage. You're listening to Hot Talk, KOAN Anchorage, AM 1080, and retranslated on 95.1 FM on K236CG Anchorage.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Outgunned Kurdish forces are trying to hang on to a town along the Syria-Turkey border in danger of falling to ISIS. Fox News Radio's Emily Wither, live in our Mideast Bureau.
ISIS is about to capture the Syrian border town of Kobani. That's according to Turkey's president, who says airstrikes alone isn't going to stop the advance. A former soldier from Ohio says he's joined Kurdish forces in Syria to help win the fight.
Everything has been fine. They're very nice, very accommodating, very good people.
He told Reuters that his name in Syria is Zagros Shodi and that there are a few Americans who want to come to fight ISIS. Militants have been trying to take the town for weeks and control the villages around it. Lisa.
Emily, 4 suspected Islamic terrorists under arrest in Britain.
Scotland Yard's Counter-Terrorism Command arrested 4 men in London today on suspicion of planning attacks. They were between the ages of 20 and 21, and the Specialist Firearms Command was involved, but no further details have been given out.
Fox's Amy Kellogg in London. The UK terror alert level was raised to severe in August because of the threat from Britons traveling to Syria to join ISIS. A flurry of firings announced at the VA, but one congressman says not exactly. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Lisa, House Veterans Affairs Committee Chair Jeff Miller says one executive was allowed to retire recently, and he believes at least 3 more will also retire with full benefits rather than lose their jobs over the treatment scandal. Chairman Miller says this is not what Congress intended, and if they need to pass more legislation, they will.
To make very clear what Congress's intent was, we will do that.
Congressman Miller says he met with VA Secretary Robert McDonald recently and believes he's committed to changing the culture at the VA. Lisa.
Rachel, thanks. On Wall Street, a sell-off. The Dow right now down 134. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Everyone knows solar is the way to go, and many state solar incentives are almost gone. Next, the federal incentive money will soon go away too. In fact, the big federal solar incentives are slated to disappear in 2016. If you wait, it could cost you as much as 30% more to make the switch. Can you afford that? The new energy reality is here. Go solar now and get your tax breaks before they're taken away. Big monthly energy savings can still be yours, but you must act quickly. Over 12,000 people call us every month. Could they all be wrong? Escape the coming big energy price increases with 1-800-MY-SOLAR. You can afford it because we finance, and we're a local company. Local is accountable. Paying too much on your energy bills? Take as much as $7,000 in tax rebates and incentives before it's too late. Call 1-800-MY-SOLAR for a free in-home assessment. Call 1-800-MY-SOLAR today.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
You know, there are many people in Anchorage who have their own special place for gifts for occasions like Mother's Day or birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Into Bell's Nursery and Gifts they go. And there's always something perfect. Bell's Gift Shop on Specking Road has a truly incredible selection of unique, creative gift ideas. Crystal, glass, and china and flatware, a wonderful kitchen section, candles, lotions and potions, and of course, delicious C's candies, and lots more. Great for browsing or finding that special gift. The Gift Shop at Bell's Nursery on Specking Road.
It's said that character is what you do when no one is watching. If that's the case, then Senator Kathy Giesel has the sort of character that is needed in Juneau. Away from the photo ops or flashy media events, Kathy Giesel hits the books just like she did in nursing school. For the past 4 years, Senator Giesel has worked hard for you, studying the impact of greater access to immunizations for Alaska's kids, crafting legislation that frees up business owners to expand and hire more Alaskans, and working to improve the infrastructure like roads and schools. Not just for this generation, but for generations of Alaskans to come. This election is more than just about promises or bullet points. It's about sending the right person to Juneau with the character to act on behalf of us when we can't watch. We need someone with the character to do the hard work when no one is watching, to make decisions we can trust. We need to re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel.
Paid for by re-elect Senator Kathy Giesel for Senate. 12701 Ridgewood Road, Anchorage, Alaska, 99516.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. we can help.
Alaska's Energy, America's Values, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. EnergyandValues.com. Mark Begich is unbelievable.
Washington thinks it knows what's best for Alaska, and that's what I'm fighting against every day.
Fighting. Begich voted for all Obama's appointments, like Sally Jewell as Secretary of the Interior. Jewell immediately said no to exploration in Anwar and no to a King Cove road. Begich didn't fight Washington. He rolled over, like he rolled over for Obamacare. Now Begich is trying to duck and hide on Obamacare, on oil taxes, on cap and trade, on the IRS scandal, even on Anwar. How can you deliver Anwar, Mark, when Harry Reid says a Democrat-controlled Senate will never allow an Anwar vote? Alaskans can't trust a thing Begich says. It's time to replace Malarkey Mark with U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
Six minutes past 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. I don't want you to lose credit for yesterday. You served your time. Moving along in the week quite nicely here. Dan Fagan, Bonnie Cameron, Glen Biegel on KOAN, KVNT, broadcasting across South Central Alaska. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. Glenn, you wanted to talk about what?
Well, first of all, it's 4 weeks till Election Day. There's an election going on out in the Matsu. And I did get a couple of suggestions from people on people to vote for out there. Let me see if I can get back to this. Whoops. Wrong one. Let's see. Okay. Means for Wasilla Mayor and Kendig for Borough Mayor from a trusted conservative friend of mine. So if you're looking for people to go vote, I hope that they get
Give me the names again.
It's Kendig for Borough Mayor and Means for Wasilla Mayor.
Means?
From a conservative.
Isn't that the guy who was the
friend of mine
saying the bad thing about police?
You just said bad things about police.
No.
I'd vote for you for mayor.
I didn't say anything bad about police.
You said they're highly paid.
We are pro-police. We are anti-too much.
You went through all their salaries.
Well, I went through salaries of firemen, police, teachers, ML&P, private sector employees, public sector employees are way overpaid. We just had a teacher tell us since the year 2000 he's gotten a 70% raise.
Wow.
70%, Glenn.
I don't think inflation's gone up that much.
Not even close. Kidding me? Well, they're used to get something good from being a public servant, and that was you got the trust of the public and you got a fairly decent retirement. Now you get rich.
Government jobs, that's where it's at.
Now you get rich. Yeah. No, I mean there are people who are two-teacher families going to retire millionaires on the hillside with two $500,000 pensions. You end up with $1 million pension. It's pretty impressive. You got to admit.
And we wouldn't be so upset by that if it wasn't paid for by the people. Good for them if they can be on the hillside and retire well.
Well, let's play devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher or the cop or the fireman would say, hey, I've got to have sun protection. I'm a government civil servant. If I have a sergeant who just doesn't like me, I have to be protected from him. If I have a principal that just looks at me the wrong way, or I look at him or her the wrong way and they don't like me, I need some protection, and the union offers that protection.
Yeah, it goes way above and beyond that. I mean, mostly we have laws which protect people from illegitimate firings. You can always make the case that your firing is based on age, sex, race, any number of things which people cannot fire you for.
Well, you can't fire teachers today.
Yeah.
Almost, literally, not quite, but almost.
But that is because of the union.
Here's the one thing which I think is true, and that is if you had this very rarely happens. It happens more when Democrats take over than Republicans. You'll remember when Bill Clinton took over, he fired every single one of the people who were in the Department of Justice. All the lawyers, every single one of them was let go. Why? He had a different worldview than George Bush.
Yep.
Right? So he let all of them go. So I understand that in those cases, here we had Clinton come in. He lets everyone go. George Bush comes in. I think he let like 30% of them go. And the media started going, absolutely bananas, right? They went crazy over that. It's very rare. Conservatives don't come in and replace people for ideological reasons. I don't know of any conservatives who do it. When people come in, they look at people, they look at their qualifications, they look at whether or not they're good at their job. So I can understand conservatives who want protection from liberals because the liberals will fire them because they have a certain ideological view, and they may not share it with the new sheriff in town or whoever the new politician is. I get that. So I still think that, though, in our society we still have enough protections so that if somebody just came in and you've gotten these glowing reviews and you've been qualified for your job and you're not a political appointment, that you would be able to be fired without at least some protection.
Wouldn't it make go ahead. Wouldn't it make sense, though, if they wanted to have that protection, that they maybe formed their own group and had a right to join it instead of having to join it on, like, being forced to join it?
Great point.
569-1080, 569-1080. Carrie, you're on.
Good morning.
Morning.
Believe it or not, there are some teachers who don't like being union employees.
Oh, I know. A lot of them.
Exactly. My husband being one of them, and I am a former teacher for ASC as well.
When did you get out, by the way, Carrie?
Why or when?
No, when?
I resigned in 1999. I taught for 4 years, and when we had our kids, I took a year leave and then resigned.
Well, you got out just before the salary explosion started. It started in right about 2000, 2001.
Well, you couldn't pay me enough to go back, quite frankly.
Yeah, you really like taking care of the kids. It's very rewarding. People don't think of it that way.
Not only that, my boys are older now, but it's not teaching anymore. I sub, and I'm quite content subbing. People think I'm crazy, but I like to be able to say no. And when I taught, I got to teach unit studies that covered reading, writing, math, all those things together, social studies, science. And as a sub, what I see is that they don't teach social studies or science anymore.
You're having to teach to the test.
I sub in the Math 2 borough now, and the math program out there is appalling that they're switching to. But that's another story. That's not why I called. My husband would be one of those people who, if you saw his salary, you would say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that teachers make that much. But seeing a number doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. He has his master's degree. He's been teaching for many, many years now. And he also teaches an extra job. In addition to his full class load, he teaches online classes. So he comes home and he works every night until 11 or 11:30. And that's by choice. And that enables us to live the life that we live, and it's a sacrifice that we're willing to make at this time. But I get kind of frustrated when people say, oh, a teacher got a 70% raise, and I have no idea where that number came from or who that person is, but there could be another reason besides just step and lane movement. It could be that perhaps that teacher is doing something extra.
Do you think a teacher gets better when they get a master's degree?
Sometimes it depends, I think, on what their master's degree is in. If it's a content area, my husband has his master's because he had a 4-year degree and he went back to school.
Well, he got a big pay increase when he got it, I'm sure.
He did.
Yeah, that's called a lane increase, by the way. For people don't know, you get an automatic 2% increase plus whatever the other increase is. If you change the amount of credits that you have after you get hired, then you get a lane increase, and you max out at master's or bachelor's plus 90.
Right. And
he knows some stuff.
Teachers who are willing to do that, I think, tend to be, and this is a complete generalization, but perhaps more dedicated. They're willing to...
Not just pay. You don't think most teachers get their master's degree? Because my guess is they don't become better teachers when they get their master's degree, for the most part. But that they do get a lot of pay, and essentially it pays off after a couple of years. Why not get a master's?
Hey, Carrie, stay with us. You got a minute? We got a short break. 8:14. Fagan, Biegel, Bonnie.
Drawings will be held on the 30th of every month. Call the Alaska Lottery hotline at 56-LOTTO. That's 565-6886 for information and prize updates. Charitable gaming in Alaska raises millions of dollars every year for nonprofit organizations statewide. Get your tickets today at the new Tudor Bingo Center at 1436 East Tudor Road, Tudor Charity Tabs at 343 West Benson, or the Alaska Lottery Kiosk on the first floor of the 5th Avenue Mall. You don't have to be present to win, but you gotta play to win. Brought to you by Greater Anchorage Inc., Ferrande, and Alaska Lottery.
I'm Bill Walker, candidate for governor. When my grandson Porter was born in 2010, Alaska was putting $1 billion a year into savings. Now, thanks to Sean Parnell, we're draining our savings at the rate of $2 billion a year. When Porter starts the 5th grade, Alaska will be completely broke. As governor, I'll clean up Parnell's mess. No more lavish spending on extra offices. No more wasteful studies. Our kids deserve a robust future on Alaska's terms. Alaska first, it's time.
Paid for by Bill Walker for governor.
Is your IT department burdened with first-line support calls about printer jams and broken printers? Are individual departments purchasing expensive printer cartridges that get buried in office supply budgets? Is your printer support strategy really a printer replacement plan? Let Alaska Enterprise Solutions show you how to reduce those high print costs. AES is a Xerox professional agency in Alaska with Xerox's worldwide support behind them. You can reach us at aesalaska.com or 561-5100.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-10.
This show goes by so fast when Glenn is here, doesn't it? It's no reflection on you. Stop taking offense so easily.
I'm not. I'm giving you a hard time.
569-1080. Glenn Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. We're talking to Carrie. Carrie, I'm interested. Now, you were a former teacher. You had children. You decided to stay home with your kids. Your husband's still a teacher. He has a master's degree. And he teaches online curriculum. Is that for the Matsu School District, or is that a side job, or how does that work?
It's not for the Matsu District. He doesn't work for the Matsu District. It is, like I said, it's something that he does in addition to his regular job duties. So he has his regular school day, and then he does this.
So when you would look at his salary in the Matsu District, his money that he earns from doing the night work online would not be reflected in the Matsu School District salary.
No, it wouldn't reflect in Matsu because he doesn't work in the Matsu District.
Oh, well, whatever district he works in.
It would reflect because the money that shows is still for the district. It's just an additional position. So his salary would show all of his monies. I believe that's my understanding.
Okay, and so this
it includes if somebody does a teacher in charge position, or if somebody does addendum work.
Yeah.
I believe that shows in entirety. And I think that your comment does have some validity. I did not get my master's degree. I knew I wanted to be a teacher, so I went to school for 4 years, and I got my bachelor's in teaching, and never had any desire to go back.
Yeah.
Don't think that I would have been a better teacher
if you
I
had
gone back.
Okay.
However, I'm curious to know how many teachers already have a 4-year degree in something else and then go back to get a teaching certificate, which then results in them having their master. That's how my husband went into teaching. He did not originally intend to be a teacher.
Okay.
And so I guess I'm curious about that since you're questioning are teachers better with a master's degree, which may or may not be the case.
Well, the teachers I've known who went to get their master's degree, their main interest was the bump in pay.
Right.
And I'm sure they if you're in education, you like education, and I'm sure that they were excited about getting new knowledge and new skills in the teaching arena. But the main focus was because of the extra pay.
But Carrie, your original point was that you would like to have the option not to be in the union, correct?
Definitely. Because I had to pay. I mean, you pay your dues, and you don't have any break if you decide not to be a member. The only thing that happens if you decide not to be a member is that you don't have that backing if you end up having some kind of issue.
Right.
But you still are required to pay your dues.
But
and
you wanted your husband to be able to be rewarded based on his merit.
merit pay, exactly. And both of us have always felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good at your job, regardless of what you're doing, you'll be rewarded for being good at your job.
We're never going to not need good teachers. We're never going to not have public education. We are never going to not value the addition that teachers make. The idea that people put forth these ideas that just because we don't have a union or forced unionization, that we're not going to value these things is just silly.
Hey, Carrie, as a former teacher, didn't Glenn just use 3 double negatives?
He did.
No, he never would do that in the history of ever.
He would never not do that.
You're hurting my ears.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate your call.
Have a good one.
All right, 569-1080. 569-1080. Let's go to Sandy. Sandy, you're on.
Good morning. I actually have a different point of view about that.
Excellent. Tell us.
I do believe that teachers are paid a lot, and I don't have as big of an issue about that. I have a bigger issue about their defined benefit retirement. They're making so much money. Why don't they have a defined contribution like a 401k so that I don't have to pay their pension for the rest of forever?
Well, that's what's breaking the bank. That's what's really
breaking the bank. And the issue always gets turned around to their wages and a wage battle, and we need to turn it around to get rid of the pensions.
just so people know, Sandy, and most do, but not everyone. A defined benefit plan is where the government or the company that offers it, whatever entity offers it, takes the full burden of the entire employee staff when it comes to the investment of the money that's used from the pension. Whereas what we're calling for, what you're calling for, is what the private sector does, is that an employee puts a contribution in every day or every paycheck, and it's invested in the private sector market. And then if the investment does well, the individual does well. If the investment doesn't do well, then the individual loses out. So the risk is put on the individual, not combined collectively, compounding on one entity such as the government. Does that?
And we don't have, the rest of the general public does not have a guaranteed amount of money that they're going to make when they retire, which is often more than they've ever made in their entire life.
Well, Sandy, let's think about it for a second. What are there, 20,000 state employees, Glenn? Something like that?
There are 60,000 retired state employees. Currently, there are about 20,000 state employees.
So as an individual who invests for retirement, if my investments do well, I reap the benefit. If my investments don't do well, I pay the price. It's my responsibility. When you take 20,000 people collectively and you say, I will, as the government, take the burden and the risk of 20,000 people all at once, you're going to break whatever entity takes that risk, because it's just too many people. And that, in a nutshell, is why pensions are so destructive. But here's the thing. We have a man who's running very close to becoming our governor, Bill Walker, who wants to go back to the bleeding of the defined benefit that will break this state, that will deplete every penny in the permanent fund. We got a candidate right now who's proposing that.
I'm not supporting him.
Don't yell
There are
at
a
me.
lot of conservatives who are full-blown, dyed-in-the-wool, absolutely conservative
That's
on
right.
anything, or are going to vote for the Begich-Beltrami ticket.
Yep.
For the first time in their life, they've never voted for a single person who Mark Begich has ever endorsed before in their life, or the NEA, and here they are.
But doesn't unity sound so good?
There's unity in community.
There's sanity in politics, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go crazy.
Wow, good. Well
you.
said.
All right.
Thank you, Sandy. And you know, it's not just Walker. There's Bob Land. There's Liesl McGuire. It used to be Hawker. I don't know if he's changed, but a lot of Republicans, they understand the power of the union.
Some Republicans.
Some, not the
Stedman,
majority.
Stevens, I would be willing to bet you,
yeah.
because there's a lot of people on the left.
Not the majority. All the Democrats, 100%.
But they definitely don't want to be known as a bad, person according to the unions.
Oh man, are you kidding me?
I mean,
people
so
don't,
they do
they don't
kowtow
stand
to
up.
them to some degree.
Yeah, she made a great point. The greatest piece of legislation passed in, I would say, state history, but it's pretty close. If it wasn't, like the pipeline bills or, those kind of things, it was the change from defined benefit to defined contribution for the state of Alaska. And I think it was like back in 2003 or something like that. Employees starting after 2005 are in a defined contribution system where the state, for a non-teacher, they're going to give you 7% plus 2% of your pay for your retirement. If you're a teacher, you get 9% of your pay plus 2% for your health care benefits above and beyond your pay. You don't have to contribute anything. You get that above and beyond your pay. So it's still a nice system, but it's not the destructive system that it was before. It's much better than the private sector will get, but it's not destructive to the state of Alaska in our future. And by the way, this is one of the things, unfortunately, Kerry, I have to give you bad news on. We'll never, under any circumstances, change the retirement system for the people who were in it originally. That is against our Constitution. Our Constitution explicitly says...
About Tier 1?
Yes, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. There's a Tier 3 for public employees and a Tier 4 for teachers. Those are the defined contribution plans. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, for most people, are all defined benefits.
State employees, you're talking about.
State and teachers.
Yeah.
But the Constitution is very explicit on this. You may not, through any force, diminish someone's retirement benefits. You may not. It is against the Constitution. They will take the permanent fund if they need it in order to pay our public employees.
A judge will.
Yeah, they definitely will.
And he'll be right in doing so.
No, he'll be right. It's part of the Constitution. It's very clear.
We have a horrific Constitution.
We
really do.
That's one of the things. Look,
one of the worst constitutions.
It was written by lawyers who put in, what's it called, the Judicial Council?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You want to talk about having a conservative state with the most left-leaning
Well, the Judicial Council allows the process of picking judges to be controlled 100% by lawyers.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous.
We have a horrible Constitution.
You got lawyers picking other lawyers to be judges. Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
This owner state stuff, which Bill Walker's a big fan of, horrible. Horrible concept.
Yeah. Well, it's left us out of the oil boom.
Yeah.
It's left us out.
There's no property owner.
High and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very difficult and this is why, because the people are always going to say, there's more, there's more.
We can get more out of these guys.
Squeeze more. We got to squeeze this stone a little bit harder and
it's
a little
our
bit
oil.
harder. And look, they might be. That's right. I'm glad you finally figured that out. And they might have been right, except for the fact that there's a lot of other places that are not being squeezed quite as hard to get oil out of. A, B, we have environmentalists up here. Are you kidding me? I would ask people to just go through this mental exercise for just 3 minutes. I'm not going to take 3 minutes, but do it for 3 minutes. Think of yourself as an oil company. You can spend money anywhere in the world. You got billions of dollars to invest. You want a return on your investment. Shell came up here, I think it was in 2005. They started investing billions of dollars on leases that were dedicated for the development of oil. They were sued by an environmentalist company first because they might violate clean air in a village of 120, 70 miles away.
They might.
They might. And they didn't even consider it. And because they hadn't considered it, they stopped development for 2 years. Then another environmentalist organization took them to court and said, well, there might be more oil here than we even thought. So they said the leases were invalid because there might be more oil there.
Lots of wasted
I
money.
want you to go through the mental exercise. If you had money to invest, would you invest it here?
Fagan Beagle Body, 829.
per-unit housing complex for senior citizens in East Anchorage. An inmate has been injured jumping from a second level at the Matsu pretrial facility. He was said to be conscious and talking while being transported to a hospital. The Corrections Department described him as a 39-year-old male who is being held for trespassing. That's your Hot Talk News Update.
Mostly sunny skies and chilly for today, high 41. For tonight, cloudy and cold, low 17. Chilly with sunshine and clouds tomorrow, high 36. Wednesday night, low 22. Thursday, clouds and sun, high 40. And Friday, rain, high 45. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Hey folks, this is Chris and Brock from The Beer Show. Make sure to listen to us every Saturday at 5 p.m. on 95.1 and 1080 KOAN.
The Beer Show is brought to you proudly every single week by Humpy's Great Alaska Ale House, Brown Jug Alaska, Great Artisan Beverages, and the Odom Corporation. Always drink responsibly.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Next time you meet with your doctor, ask for a copy of their notes. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Doctor's appointments can be a little overwhelming when you're getting a lot of information about your health in a pretty short amount of time. No wonder many patients complain of leaving the office scrambling to remember all the details. Well, this year-long study found that when people had access to their doctor's notes, they felt more in control of their care, and they became better patients. In fact, 80% said after reading their doctor's notes, they not only understood their medical issue more clearly, but were more likely to take their medication and follow up with care. You should never feel afraid to ask questions. And remember, as the patient, you have full access to your medical charts. So the next time you visit your doctor, ask them to make a quick photocopy of the notes in your chart to make sure they give it to you before you leave. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Years ago, the family doctor was someone who came to your home. And while that practice has faded into memory, there is someone who keeps the tradition of personal health care alive. Your local Health Mart pharmacist knows you by name, not by refill number. Stop by your independently owned Health Mart pharmacy and see how the tradition of personal health care lives on. Visit healthmart.com for the location near you. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Right now at the Home Depot, get a 10-year sealed battery smoke and carbon monoxide alarm start at just $24.97. So, let's worry less. Let's do smarter fire safety. Alarms that won't turn off, and batteries that won't chirp for 10 long years. Let's do this. Get a worry-free alarms, starting at just $24.97. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only. See store for details.
Here's my good friend, Keith Monternock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
8:34 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, right here on your radio dial. You know, Chugach Chiropractic, Dr. Myron Swigart, he's so knowledgeable, so wise when it comes to treating you. He's a great doctor. And his team at Chugach Chiropractic, Dr. Madden and others, boy, they're just really, they care about the patient. You can tell. I've been out to see Dr. Swigart. Glenn has been out there. We need to get you out there.
I'm going to make an appointment.
Yeah, and you're going to find things out about yourself physically that you didn't know. And it's going to improve your life dramatically. Go see Dr. Myron Swigart out at Chugach Chiropractic. We're talking about natural solutions. We're not talking about going into the knife or anything like that. Whether it's massage therapy to reduce pain or whatever it is that they're going to do to help you live a healthier, pain-free life. They focus on pain. It's the first thing Dr. Swigart asked me. He said, do you have any pain anywhere? And that's really what they're good at. If you have some pain that you're living with and you've accepted as normal, change your mind about that. Go see Dr. Swigert, and you will live a pain-free life. Chugach Chiropractic, here's the number. 694-9224. 694-9224. Tell Dr. Swigert that Dan Fagan and Glen Biegel sent you out there, and he will treat you right. I promise you that. 694-9224. 569-1080 is our number. It's 8:36 in the morning. Who had a question? Brian had a question, and Glenn? I'll take Brian's question first.
Sure. And that commotion outside, there's some moose right outside the door right over.
People are excited.
Yeah. Okay, my question was about the minimum wage, and I know Bonnie was upset when she found out Sullivan supported it, and also now Parnell has supported it.
Sullivan, the Senate candidate.
The Senate candidate. And so my original question, Dan, but you sort of told me part of the answer, was were they getting behind that because of popular opinion, and they just didn't want to be on the wrong side of it? And
well, you never know. As Glenn likes to always talk about the heart, you never know what's in somebody's heart. But I would assume that Dan Sullivan, who claims to be a free market guy, Sean Parnell, who claims to be a free market guy, there's nothing more anti-free market than the government telling an employer how much to pay his people. I would assume they are abandoning their free market positions because they want to be on the popular side of an issue. But it is an assumption. Glenn?
What? What do you want me to add?
What are your thoughts on this? What do you think their reasoning was?
I think that the lack of education about what makes a market work is it's so hard that people really don't understand what you're saying when you say you don't want the minimum wage increase. And so what they're hearing is, look, I hate poor people as much as the next guy, and I just want them to suffer. And frankly, I wouldn't care if they all starved to death. So that's my position. And so when they hear that, and obviously that isn't what you mean. What you mean is nobody gets paid the minimum wage. There's a Carl's Jr. down the street hiring for $8.50 an hour. Nobody pays it. That's not what people make. There are no heads of households unless you have completely squandered your life and you have no skills whatsoever. And at that point, the best thing for you is to get charity, not to force people. But how long did it just take for me to walk people through the minimum wage and what you should be hearing when I say I'm not for raising it? People just don't have that kind of time. The problem with politics, it's the art of the possible. You can't change the world. You may have some good things that you want to do, and the difficulty here is, look, we're all purists, but we're not politicians. We're conservatives. We're not politicians. We're not trying to win any popularity contests. We want people to live a good life and to know what makes a good life good. We don't have to get elected to anything. We're just on the radio.
Can I throw something out here? And that's very well said. But this is really important, and it just broke. This is a 20-year study, the most definitive study ever done on the long-term impacts of marijuana. It was done by Professor Wayne Hall and his team, who is with the World Health Organization. 20 years they spent, and here are the findings. These are global findings. 1 in 6 teenagers who regularly smoke pot become dependent.
On pot or other things?
Pot.
Oh, they get addicted.
Get addicted.
Okay.
1 in 6.
All right.
It doubles the risk of developing psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia.
Wow.
Heavy use in adolescence considerably impairs intellectual development in adolescence and youth.
But I thought it was safe and doesn't have any long-lasting effects.
Don't you understand it'll still be illegal for adolescents?
Driving after smoking cannabis doubles the risk of having a car crash.
No, they go slower. Come on.
That's it. That's the definitive one for me.
The study's author says it is impossible to conclude anything other than if cannabis is not addictive, neither is heroin.
Yep. Don't draw the line there. Keep going.
Smoking it while pregnant reduces the baby's birth weight almost to the point of causing a fatality. 1 in 10 adults who regularly smoke pot become dependent on it, and those who use it are more likely to go on and use harder drugs. Well, we knew that.
Well, even Charlotte Green said that she started marijuana and didn't like it, so she went to alcohol and got addicted to that.
It is often harder to get people who are dependent on marijuana through withdrawal than for heroin, to withdrawal than with heroin. We just don't know how to do it. Those who stop taking marijuana often suffer anxiety, insomnia, appetite disturbance. I should start smoking pot and then quit. And depression. Even after treatment, less than half can stay off the drug for more than 6 months.
Well, even the guy who was in here, and I found this kind of revealing, is he said, you know, I tried to quit because I wanted to see if I could do it.
Yes.
And he said he quit for 6 months, and then he went back to it.
Every day.
But to me, it's very instructive when people try to quit something, but it's supposed to be good for them.
Well, here's the thing.
It's a big part of their life.
And we'll get to Ed's call in a second, but the professor here writes, the most dangerous thing about marijuana is that the users assume it's not dangerous because you cannot overdose on marijuana, like cocaine and heroin.
And in other words, it can't kill you?
You cannot take too much pot. Like, you take too much cocaine and heroin, you die on the spot.
Oh,
Not
okay.
the case with pot.
Okay.
But that actually causes the user to use it in a very liberal way because they know they'll never overdose. Like, you can drink too much alcohol and die of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't mean that your decisions are going to be better.
No,
though.
but that's the thing. You can stay stoned 24/7, 365 days a year, and you're not going to die of the stuff.
It might not kill you, but your actions might.
Well, your brain cells are dying. You're a complete pothead and completely stoned, and you're a zombie. But that's one of the reasons that it's so dangerous. At least marijuana and cocaine and alcohol and even food, they have these built-in mechanisms.
You mean heroin? You said marijuana.
I'm sorry, cocaine, heroin, crack,
Alcohol.
meth, alcohol. There's a built-in mechanism. You can't sit there and drink 3 bottles of Jack Daniels in one night. You're going to die.
Yeah.
And that's a safeguard. Marijuana has no such safeguard. I've never heard that before. Have you?
So that's the one positive thing?
No, that's the negative because people, they use it without any abandon.
Okay.
They can sit there and suck down as many joints as they want.
Because the yes people, the yes for pot people would say that's an advantage.
I don't see how it is. 569-1080, Ed, you're on.
Good morning. First of all, I've never heard of dying as a safeguard. But now what I really want to tell you was...
The risk of dying.
Yeah. You said dying is a safeguard.
Well, it is.
Well, let's talk about minimum wage. That's why I really...
All right.
Why would anybody go for minimum wage when they can get all the little safeguards that in our social system, such as welfare, that pays about $40,000 a person? Why would they go for minimum wage?
There are times when you're actually kicked off welfare from not out in the villages, but here in town, you can be kicked off welfare if you don't go through whatever hoops it is that they set up.
Trust me, I've got friends, and they've been on welfare for 10 years.
And they don't have any incentive then to get off.
Why should they?
Wow.
Why work for minimum wage when they can make at least $40,000 a year per person?
Ed, I appreciate your call. We got to take a break.
Okay.
8:44 is the time. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie.
The all-new 2015 as it is in motion. And with its improved acceleration power, your state of comfort continues, knowing you'll make it to your destination on time. See your authorized dealer and see the world differently in a C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Get the 2015 C300 4MATIC starting at just $40,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for 2015 C300 Formatic excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
A lot of people are asking, what has Sean Parnell done for Alaska?
Well, since Sean Parnell became our governor, Alaska's economy added more than 16,000 new jobs. That's helped families all across the state. And with the natural gas pipeline on the horizon, you can bet there are more jobs coming.
Since Sean Parnell became our governor, high school graduation rates are on the rise. Thousands are going to college or job training because they earned his Alaska Performance Scholarship.
After years of delays, Governor Parnell got the multi-billion-dollar Point Thompson project rolling on the North Slope, providing jobs to more than 1,000 Alaskans and the fuel we'll need for a natural gas pipeline.
Governor Parnell did all this while cutting the state budget by more than $1 billion over each of the past 2 years.
Alaska is in the middle of a jobs boom.
An education boom.
And an oil boom.
That's why Parnell 2014, Box 100719 Anchorage paid for this announcement.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080 KOAN.
$8:47. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie, you work so hard. You do your best. You go to work. You make sacrifices. You make the right decisions. You pay your taxes. And you want to get to a place in your life where you can spend some time with your wife or your husband. You've raised your children. You've done your part. And you want to live a worry-free option, or have the option of traveling when you're retired. And you know, there's a guy who you need to call and talk to about this. His name is Mike Daniels, and he heads up Country Financial here in Alaska. He's got a big presence here in Alaska with his team of country representatives. And I'm telling you, folks, you sit down with these guys for about 10 minutes, and you're going to realize, wow, these folks need stuff I need to know. And that's Country Financial in a nutshell. When it comes to financial planning, make sure you have the right insurance. Make sure you're making the right decisions when it comes to investing for your future. Mike Daniels and his country representative team, they're the ones to talk to. There are 13 locations in Alaska, 5 in the Valley, 5 in Anchorage. Give Mike Daniels a call. Here's the number, 866-COUNTRY. 866-COUNTRY. Country is spelled, by the way,
COUNTRY. Tell
Mike I sent you, Glenn and I sent you over there, and they'll treat you right. I promise you that. All right, 569-1080, 569-1080. Glenn, you had a question about marriage?
Yeah, the federal United States Supreme Court has rejected appeals from, I think, 3 different circuit-level courts.
Well, they didn't reject them. They voted not to hear them.
Yeah, but that means that their rulings stand. So 10 states now have legalized
but there's a difference.
Marriage.
There's a difference between rejecting them would say they'd overturn them. There's a big difference between overturning decisions and not hearing decisions.
Yeah, it's rejected the appeals.
The effect of it is the same probably initially, but not long-term wise.
Well, no, probably long-term wise too. And so here's the 2 questions that I have, because to me, and for most people, for most kids who are in schools, by the way, you guys have no idea. Look, why is marriage important? Why does it matter? Who cares? Why do you care if anybody gets married? Certainly, you shouldn't care if 2 people of the same sex gets married. Why do you care? Now, there are places though where this battle that's going on about whether it's important for a man and a woman who can have a child, whether or not they live in a different relationship than other people, and whether it's judged by society as being different. It's always been that way. In all of history, marriage has been very special. It's been because societies depend on them, right? Societies don't depend on 2 people, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, being together. All right, but here are the 2 questions, which I think are far easier for people to answer than the marriage question. And even for young people, if you're a young person out there, and you probably have never heard this before. So you're in kindergarten, and the teacher sits down and has got a little book they're going to read you. And the book's about Princess Susie. Now, Princess Susie's got a She's got to go up against this dangerous dragon and climb the outside of this tower, and she's going to rescue Princess Catherine. Why not? Why on earth would you care whether or not Princess Susie rescues Princess Catherine? Don't you believe in marriage equality? Don't you think that it's their right to have their stories in their classrooms too? Are you prejudiced against people just because Princess Susie's gonna go and rescue Princess Catherine? Well, of course you are. It makes perfect sense. You want the prince to rescue the princess. That's the way stories are, because that's the way life is. Because men rescue women, and then in turn, women rescue men. In marriage. Second question. It's very easy for people to answer that question. 90% of people will say, I don't want anything having to do with Princess Susie rescuing Princess Catherine in my kid's elementary school. Take your sexual liberation theology, whatever, and shove it. Most people will understand that and know you're not prejudiced because of that. Number 2, adoptions. The Catholic Church does not see a same-sex couple the same as they see a married couple, man and woman. That's their religious belief. That's the way it's always been. Now, society here wants to change that and wants to say, well, people can get married. Yeah, I know there are a lot of people who are comfortable going that step. But very few people are comfortable saying, you know what, the Catholic Church, which helps to organize a vast percentage of the number of adoptions here in our state, they should not have the right to adopt people because of their views on marriage. And I just want you to know, if you accept marriage is the same, then you accept Princess Susie rescuing Princess Catherine, and you accept that the Catholic Church cannot provide services for adoptions. If you sign on to one, you sign on to the other.
So the Catholic Church currently prohibits the adoption of the Catholic social
They
services.
can't prohibit anything. What the Catholic Church organizes adoptions between married couples and children.
But the Catholic Social Services, which is an agency, does an incredible amount of good. They work with couples for adoption.
They work with the state, and the state grants them the ability to help organize these adoptions.
But right now, if 2 gay men or 2 lesbians went to the Catholic Social Services and said, we'd like to adopt a child, what would they hear from the agency?
They would say, you need to go to another organization that helps to arrange.
And you're saying that if you support gay marriage, that the day will come when the Catholic Church will be forced to go.
Days already come and gone. Boston, they closed down adoption services by the Catholic Church.
But it's not happened here yet.
It's not happened here, but
Yeah.
we have a definition of marriage between man and woman in our Constitution, which protects the Catholic.
Until a judge overturns it.
And the judges are basically in their way of overturning all of this. And I just want people to know the marriage question has a lot of implications across most of society. And while people are very comfortable in classrooms talking about, if 2 people want to love each other, why shouldn't they get married?
So,
but they're very uncomfortable answering the 2 questions which I pose, which are, do you really want one princess rescuing the other princess, A, and B, do you really want to close down Catholic adoption services? By the way, the people who are organizing this, the people on the left, the people who are anti-Christian, they are anti-society, they do want that adoption organization closed down, and Mark Begich will be among them.
I agree with you. That's their intent. There's no doubt about it. They won't admit to that. But what would you say to the person who would say, well, it's the whole, slippery slope argument. Let's argue what's going on now. Why can't 2 women rescue each other? Why can't 2 women get married?
Love has no bounds.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what would I say to them? I don't really care if you have a school in which that's taught. That's fine. If that's what the parents feel
Public
like.
school?
Yeah, sure. I think there needs to be school choice, and this is a challenge to people. If you don't want this taught in your kindergarten, you have a very short period of time here where this will not be taught in your
here's the question.
Child's kindergarten. If you have to fight for school choice so that you have your own values.
The question is, if they were to come to you, the left, and say, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll leave the Catholic Church alone. We'll leave Home Lobby or Hobby Lobby alone. We will not force our agenda on you. But will you let us have gay marriage then? Will you let states marry same-sex couples. If we don't force religious institutions to comply with this, and will you let us do our thing?
The first one is an impossibility. It does not exist anywhere. The left has never stopped. They don't stop trying to take over religious organizations. So
because it was civil unions
that's
first.
really
we just want
really
civil
unfair.
unions.
But here, my view of this is that since kids have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about when I say what a special thing marriage is, they just really don't. They don't understand men and women being different. Well, what are you talking about? Men and women are the same. They've got equal rights. Yes, they have equal rights, but they have different needs. And you will find out
and they play different roles.
Yeah, they play different roles. They have different needs. Different things inspire them. Different things reward them. I mean, they're just totally different creatures. Anyway, and the magic of marriage, which no child probably knows today. I asked Carol Como, why don't you teach people about how good marriage is for a person? Yeah. Why would we do that?
Well, Glenn, to me, the real story here, and I think you're dead on, the left will not rest until it is illegal to say anything negative about homosexuality. I'm talking about on the street corner. I'm talking about in the pulpit. I'm talking about at your dinner table with your kids. I guarantee you there'll come a day where the little Susie will go to her counselor at school and say, my daddy says homosexuality is wrong. And the government will show up at that man's door and say, have you been teaching hatred to your children?
There's instances of that already happening.
But that's what the left wants. Mm-hmm. And, you say, well, I don't believe that. It's almost like, well, it's starting to happen.
It's going on in the UK right now.
Absolutely.
They have very famous cases over in Denmark and the UK and Germany. Look, the left has a very different view. They don't want homeschooling because they don't like people having their own set of values.
I'm just going to say it. They want God wiped out of the culture.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
And they think would be a much better place if we did.
They have such a hatred for religion and people of faith. Yeah. They want every last person of faith that they don't want to kill them, but they don't want them to say anything about their faith and them to practice their faith. None of that here.
Anyway, but this is a very difficult question because a lot of people see the opposition to gay marriage as a religious foundation. I guess it was wrapped up in that before, but frankly, in order for societies to survive, the only force that opposes big government is a strong family. If you don't have a strong family, then you're not going to have well-disciplined children, and they're going to need a big government in order to take care of them. That's just the way life is. Marriage makes a difference, and male-female marriage resulting in children, that is what societies form themselves around.
And our leftist friends out there who hear that,
who we love,
they'll say, what a bigot, what a Neanderthal. But I guarantee you 70% of the people who live in this country agree with every word you just said. Have a great Tuesday afternoon, folks. We'll be back tomorrow. Fagan Biegel Body Show.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. on Hot Talk KOAN 95.1 FM, 1080 a.m. and online at 1080KOAN.com.